Rochester, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester, an Odyssey sports station.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Amherst. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
We welcome you on into Rochester's only local sports talk show. You found the sports bar. It's Danger and Battaglia on the Fan Rochester. We appreciate you listening at 95.7 FM, AM 950, the free-to-download Odyssey app, your smart device. When you ask it to play 95.7 The Fan, even our stream on YouTube at The Fan Rochester on YouTube, our channel there. Like, subscribe, share with a friend. Gino, I need a verdict. I could feel you judging me, and I'm wondering if I'm in the wrong for doing something that I just did. Let me explain.
Okay, time out. I'm always judging you.
You are.
Yeah.
Almost as much as the executive producer judges our show.
Well, it's going a little farther.
This morning we had, I joke, I like to say, we like to throw pizza at our problems. Like every office has like their culture, and everybody's culture is different, and you want to build a culture of teamwork and camaraderie, and so often it's become a meme, like with younger generations. They're coming into the workforce and they're like, why pizza? Why always with pizza? Why is it always a pizza party? Because you're trying to build culture, and who doesn't love pizza? And so this morning we had one of these breakfast pizza welcome parties for our new intern here at Odyssey, Joe. And Joe's an aspiring, young professional. He's graduating in May. He might want to get into sales. He's spending some time working with the morning shows, or at the different stations. And he comes in and everybody gets the chance to spend some time with Joe. He played football, so he's a sports guy.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of pizza. There's a lot of food. And there's a lot of leftovers. So the person who organized it, Megan, who does a great job for us here, she organized the whole thing, and she sent out an email saying, there's a lot of pizza, there's a lot of breakfast burritos, there's a lot of food, because, the staff isn't as big as it used to be. Come get yours, or it's going to, and I've left to-go boxes, so to get yours, or it's going to go in the trash. I hate waste. You know how I feel about waste.
Wait, did she really write that? Because I didn't read the email. She wrote it's going in the trash?
Some employee you are. I'm just going to glaze over this email. Yeah, she said it was going to go in the trash.
Wait, you work at a radio station? Nothing ever goes in the trash. You could leave that pizza out, and there's a chance that Joe Capogreco on Sunday might munch away. I'm not kidding you.
Yeah, there used to be a lot of there used to be vultures. Like I used to say, the vultures are going to get it. Whatever you leave out on the kitchen counter or in the break room, the vultures will get to it, and it will be gone within moments. They will pick up at the carcass of a pizza or a sandwich tray or a wrap tray or whatever it is, chips and salsa, whatever it is. It will be gone. But this is more. Megan is believing that this is more than the vultures are going to be able to get. And she's right, because at 12 noon, everybody cuts out. Everybody cuts out. There's nobody here in the afternoon to get a 2 o'clock slice or whatever it is that might be left over. So there's a lot. I walked by it on my way down here to the studio. There's a lot of breakfast pizza left. A lot. And I'm like, I normally wouldn't do this, but I would hate to see an entire sheet pizza or even half of a sheet pizza go directly in the trash. So because I read Megan's email, I got myself a to-go box.
Wow.
Of breakfast pizza that I'm going to bring home. I don't know if I'll eat it tonight. I don't know if I'll eat it tomorrow or this weekend. I hate waste. I can't see it go to waste. So don't judge me negatively, Gino. I am that guy who's physically bringing leftovers from the office home.
I'm not judging you. As long as you don't judge me, I deleted it at Megan's email, so I'll take your word from searching it. If I just see food, I'm like, yeah, I know there's food. And not reading the whole thing. I
got to tell you, man, I saw some people in that conference room today show some restraint, because they're looking at it. They're like, I really shouldn't be eating pizza first thing in the morning. Not this guy. Not me. I went right for it. I'm like, what do we got? Breakfast burritos, pizza? Yeah, give me some of that, and give me some of that. I've got my calories for the day.
You realize there's some burritos. I told Dan DeLorean.
I might take a break. In the middle of a break, you might see me mowing on a breakfast burrito. I'm not going to make that promise, but it could happen. So, yeah, I don't know if that's bad, if that's bad form in the office. I mean, we were invited to do it. Normally, I wouldn't, but there's nobody here, and it's like more than a half sheet of pizza. I'm going to take a couple of slices.
Well, you and I grew up in this industry. You very much grew up in this industry as a teenager working. Used to be like, hey, we're going to drop off food in the hopes that you're going to mention on the air. And how many times did you actually mention the place on the air just in exchange for food? We can't do those things anymore, but back in the day, there was always food. And when you were 22, 23, and you're making minimum wage, at least, hey, free food, I'll take it here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I know I might get pushback at home because I'm bringing pizza into the house, and everybody's, trying to eat healthy, and like, well, why are you eating pizza? And why are you bringing pizza? We don't need that. I hate waste. I can't see it go to waste.
It's for me, and the dad run just gets ratcheted up a little bit.
That's right. I'll just pick up the pace a little bit on the dad run. We've got a great show lined up for you this afternoon in the sports bar. Lots going on in Orchard Park at One Bills Drive today as the free agents are in, and we're hearing from them all this afternoon. We heard from DeMar Hamlin earlier. I believe Joey Bosa is still speaking at present with the Bills media right now, and we'll try to get some of what we've learned from this afternoon with two of our favorites covering the Buffalo Bills, if we have the time. And it's going to be a little dicey here because there's lots of moving parts here, but we'll try and make it work, and no guarantees. Scheduled to join us this afternoon, Alex Brasky of Bills Digest and Dan Fates of Buffalo Plus.
They're both out in Buffalo. So Joey Bosa talking right now. You heard some of the comments earlier from the newest Buffalo Bills on One Bills Live. So not sure if we'll hear from anybody else, to be quite honest. I don't think today involves Brandon Beane, but they are just kind of introducing these new Buffalo Bills. And if I had one overarching theme, if you had to put a grade on what the Bills did so far in free agency, to me it's a solid B. They have been active. In fact, they've been as active as anybody here. And not a big budget, let's be honest. And the big ticket items that we all wanted, I guess one is still sitting out there, Trey Hendrickson, but they're the Bengals. Who knows what their asking price is? He's not going to go anywhere because the Bengals are asking for the moon here. Hendrickson's going to be stuck in Cincinnati one more year. Maybe something could spring free after the draft. You never know. But putting that qualifier that, no, none of these big-ticket items were available beyond your control, I think the Bills did quite well for themselves this free agency period.
Yeah, one of the free agents we heard from is an incoming safety, and Derek Forrest, and he was open about why Buffalo made sense for him.
They've been able to develop safeties at a high level, especially, I'll say, over like the last 6 years. Mm-hmm. It's been great. They had great safeties come in and play, and even the guys behind them that come in and play great, man. So I can't wait to get to it. I definitely wanted opportunity, and then after opportunity, I knew that I wanted to be on a great team. Mm-hmm. You can tell that they have a great culture around here. Love to win. The people are great, and that's something I want to be a part of, man. It just allows you to come in every day and love what you do. Love coming to work and not feeling like it's a job.
Forrest is interesting to me because he's still young, right? 25.
Yeah.
And he's not wrong. They've done well with developing safeties, and I think you can go back and trace it to the origins of Sean McDermott being the head coach and what you had in Poyer and Hyde. Now, you haven't replicated that success or that continuity, but could you with Forrest and Bishop, or with Rapp and Forrest, or whatever the combination ends up being? I like that Forrest is young and can come in and can compete for any of those positions that are there and that are available for him. And maybe he does take to Sean McDermott's defense, and it's a better fit than what he had when he was with Washington.
I would throw up the caution flag, and here's why. Because just using Taylor Rapp, when you and I have had exchanges with Taylor Rapp, very smart guy. I don't think Taylor Rapp coming right out of the gate was this guy that wowed everybody. It took him a little while. And then it wasn't until late in the first year you saw everything come together and like, oh, wow, okay, it's starting to work. And then he gets the contract. I think that Sean McDermott, this defense, unless this changes, asks a lot of the safeties to the point where 2 years ago, when we didn't know who the middle linebacker was going to be, it ended up being Terrell Bernard and worked out okay, right? But we didn't know Terrell Bernard was going to be good. To the point where, hey, do we put the green dot on Jordan Poyer? Do we put the green dot on Micah Hyde? That's how much the safeties are needed in this defense. Danger, if you're looking for the missing ingredient here of the Bills defense, some would say, hey, more out of your defensive line. I'm like, okay, I would hear that. It's more ball hawking in the secondary, and that starts with the safeties. And yes, you have a big hitter in Taylor Rapp, but the other position, Hamlin, and he's back, and that's good. But
and by the way, I'm not dismissing Taylor Rapp either, by the way. I know that Rapp, there's been injury concerns, right? And he's missed some time. But there were plays last year where Taylor Rapp literally saved the Buffalo Bills points. Like you can go back to hustle plays that Rapp made during the 2024 season that kept points off the board from Bills opponents. And I got to imagine secondary. So I'm not willing to completely dismiss Taylor Rapp. I do like Cole Bishop, but I also like the fact that now you've got Forrest in here who can compete as a young guy. And I think Hamlin being back is a great story. It just continues. I feel like every year we're going to go into the offseason or into the preseason being like, is Hamlin making the team? Is Hamlin, what's Hamlin going to be? What's he going to We know what he is. He's serviceable back there. Can you do better than Hamlin? Maybe Forrest is the guy who can come in and be better than Hamlin on day one.
Yeah, there's competition there for sure. So Derek Forrest coming over from the Commanders, he's young. It's a guy that maybe this works out. Your best case scenario, he's the next half of Poyer and Hyde here as the Bills continue to make over that position. The one thing that's sticking out to me, Danger, is corner number 2. Yeah. We're still unresolved in that. There's a lot of names in there, including Rasul Douglas. None of these names, you're familiar with all these names. Every one of them will be a stopgap measure. And I'm including Rasul Douglas. And to me, he's probably the best of the options right now just because, well, he did it. But you're hoping that somebody would take his job, basically.
One name that I know some Bills fans were trying to connect to Buffalo is no longer available. That name is Jonathan Jones, who's, as a free agent, leaving the Patriots, going to the Commanders on a 1-year, $5.5 million deal. I want to say Jones is 31 or he's on the other side of 30. So he'll be with the Commanders on a 1-year deal. You still have Asante Samuel Jr. as, a lot of people listing him as the top available free agent corner.
Can I make this clear? Two people pointed this out. I didn't see this. I looked for this. Apparently somewhere online said, hey, the radio station Rochester reported that Asante Samuel was coming to the – nowhere did we do that. We had David Drogmeyer talking about Asante Samuel with us yesterday, the Locked On Chargers.
If anything, we did the opposite. Yeah. You said you want nothing to do with him because he can't tackle.
He can't tackle.
I love how things get so – I love half listeners. The people that just, they'll hear what they want to hear as we're talking. They'll pick the words that tickle their eardrum, and then they'll formulate their own thing of what we said. And then they'll go and tell everybody, hey, I just thought you should know. Those are my favorite listeners. The heroes out there that want to share what they heard us say, take our words out of context, build their own narrative based on just a handful of words that make absolutely no sense.
Hey, trust me, I would love to break Buffalo Bills news and share with you what the plans are going on here, but there's no truth to that whatsoever. So.
Well, no, we should send the fans beat reporter to Orchard Park to do a little muckraking to figure out exactly. Oh, we don't have a beat reporter. Oh, that's right. Yeah. So it's just Gino and I. Fine. We'll what we'll do is we'll report on what we know and probably not break the news ourselves. But thank you for thinking that we're that credible news source, even though we did the exact opposite of what you're reporting.
Danger, we are a credible news source.
You're credible. On the other hand, there's me.
After eating that pizza tonight.
We did not say anything about Asante Samuel coming to, because we talked about Asante Samuel does not mean Asante Samuel is getting signed by the Buffalo Bills.
No.
We don't have that kind of weight with Brandon Beane.
Yeah, and now comes my opinion. Once again, to reiterate, I don't want him here.
Yeah. Other news and notes from around free agency in the NFL. And we are at that stage now where we're talking about 1-year deals, 2-year deals, $1.5 million here, $2 million there, whatever it might be. This one was interesting to me. Seeing that Mason Rudolph, because I joked about this yesterday, Mason Rudolph is returning to Pittsburgh after spending a year in Tennessee, and it's a 2-year deal. So with that, you would imagine he's set to back up whoever the Steelers decide, or at worst, you have somebody there who's familiar with the Steelers and their culture, who's started games for you before. But if you're a Steeler fan, you aren't excited about Mason Rudolph starting games for you. You don't want that to happen. So I know there might be some Steeler fans out there that might be so discouraged right now with them leaving themselves this wide open with no quarterback that they might actually be like, what do you call it, gallows humor? Like, yeah, Mason Rudolph's our starting quarterback week 1. I'm pulling for it. Let's go. Mason Rudolph to the moon.
Are Steeler fans going to start to hate watch this team? It's really kind of a strange way to build a team, right? Like, hey, we're going to go trade for the wide receiver that pretty much every other team would want, and we're going to pair him with George Pickens, and wow, Mason Rudolph's going to throw him the ball. Explain to me why Diane Rossini, when tweeting out here, Aaron Rodgers wants time to think about this, there somehow is a picture of him strolling by himself on the beach.
I just need some time to contemplate my future. Did you get good lighting on that? How's my hair? Is my hair looking good? He's just ridiculous, this guy. There's a picture of him on the beach contemplating.
I have so many questions. Like, was that just somebody random on the beach walking by with their phone like, oh my gosh, that's Aaron Rodgers, click, click? Or is this Rodgers agent, saying, hey, this is what he's doing right now? He's so introspective, and when he's ready, he's going to be fully all in. I'm sure that's the line. What's the cliche, Danger? Shame on me once, shame on you twice, or whatever.
It's happening again.
Yeah, it's happening. Shame on the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Shame on all of us.
Shame. No, listen, I'm just grabbing my popcorn and watching this. Like, to see the Steelers fall into this Aaron Rodgers trap. Like, how good is it actually going to be? Bill Ryder made this point earlier today. The guy hasn't won a playoff game since 2019.
Yeah.
You got to go before the pandemic.
Yeah. Right.
All of a sudden, just because he shows up in Pittsburgh, he's going to lead. Where does Sierra want to live? Giants in New York or Cleveland? Yeah,
or Nashville.
Forgot about them.
Mac Jones is heading to San Francisco. That's a 2-year deal. Mike Williams is going back to the Chargers. I thought that was interesting. C.J. Mosley is being released by the Jets. A.J. Dillon leaving Green Bay to go to Philadelphia as a free agent running back.
Go back to Mac Jones.
Yeah.
Do you remember this draft? It was like the week of, and then all of a sudden, hey, wait a second. Picking at number 3, San Francisco traded up to go get Mac Jones at 3. They ended up taking Trey Lance.
Yeah.
Now, either one, they both flamed out. Lance, as far as I know, is still out there.
Yes.
And Jones has been terrible. But if you loved him during the process and Kyle Shanahan, thinks, boy, I could have done this differently, you have this ongoing situation with Brock Purdy. Just throwing this out there. Like, if you're one of these desperate teams for are you calling the Niners right now and say, hey, what would it take for Brock Purdy?
Well, let's do this, Gino. Let's take a break and come back, because there is still another scenario out there, and a quarterback we haven't spent a lot of time talking about who may be available if the team decides that they want something in return for him, and that's Kirk Cousins in Atlanta. And I don't know if we're going to get Dan Fates on with us next or not. We would love to have Dan on with us next. We'll kind of play it by ear. But if not, let's explore that a little bit as well. You can join us on the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line at 866-4FAN. Award-winning barbecue from Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub, 135 West Commercial Street, East Rochester. GoodSmokeBBQ.com.
Sports Update.
The newest Buffalo Bills showing up today at One Bills Drive. Joshua Palmer just signing his contract now. Joey Bosa earlier. The new safety, Derek Forrest, on his style.
I definitely love, just getting to the ball, doing whatever I can to get the ball. I love playing strong safety because the thing is, when I get in the post at free safety, they test me. And the thing is, I got range, and that's where I get my interceptions at, so I love it.
13 Wham and Buffalo Plus's Dan Bates scheduled to join us next. Pittsburgh Steelers signing a quarterback, bringing back Mason Rudolph. ACC tournament, Duke beating Georgia Tech this afternoon, 78-70. The storyline here, though, Cooper Flagg leaving this game with a sprained ankle. The Amherst, they've lost 5 in a row now. Last night falling to Charlotte. Providence coming to town tomorrow night. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Top Shelf Sports Talk. You're hanging out in the sports bar with Danger and Battaglia on the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Didn't know too much about Buffalo. Matter of fact, yesterday I looked it up on the map and I'm like, okay, I understand exactly where it's at. But it's definitely a place that I'm starting to, it's growing on me, especially being like, it's like a small town, but it's a lot of love here. I can feel the Bills Mafia.
Busy day in Orchard Park as free agent signings. Speaking to Bills media, that was Derek Forrest. New safety, the Buffalo Bills. I know Josh Palmer getting his chance here with...
I didn't know where Buffalo was.
Yeah, had to look in the map. Oh, dude, you know that's a thing, right?
Well, if we just pulled somebody aside and, hey, point to me on the map where St. Louis is. But you didn't have the states or honestly, I could see how if you're from a different part of the country that could trip you up. Maybe point where Denver is on the map.
So my daughter is traveling for work this week. She's in Kansas City. She's never been to Kansas City before. In fact, her visits to the Midwest have been few and far between. And the first thing she noticed, I'm going to get back to Buffalo, trust me.
Okay.
First thing that she noticed is that people talk a little bit slower, that their pace of speech is just a little bit slower. And I said, sweetie, do you know why the Midwest is called the Heartland? And she says, no. And I said, because the brain isn't there. Hi-oh! I grew up in the Heartland. That should explain a lot, right? I grew up in Minnesota, and most of the people that I grew up with, when they found out I moved to Rochester, they are of the belief that I live in a suburb of New York City. And I know this because I will get messages from them saying, hey, I'm visiting New York City, and we're going to do all the touristy stuff, and you want to come and hang? And I'm like, sorry, that's a bit of a hike. Not going to be able to make it there this weekend. If you come to Rochester, hit me up. Let me know. Hell, if you come to Niagara Falls or Buffalo, hit me up. Let me know. But New York City, not as easy to get to as you think.
Man, do we have like an identity problem overall?
This feeds into our insecurity.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
This feeds into our Western New York / Finger Lakes region insecurity that we have. Yeah.
It was the same thing. Marshawn Lynch gets drafted by Buffalo, and he literally thought Buffalo was a suburb of New York. That's a true story.
Yeah.
Like, wait a second, gets off the plane. What?
It's absolutely a thing. So, well, good. I'm glad he looked at a map. I'm glad he's coming in educated now on the team that he's playing for. And I believe Josh Palmer is speaking with the media now. So we'll catch up with Fates, and we'll catch up with Alex Brasky of Bills Digest if time allows here in the sports bar. We're going to be a little bit flexible. Talked about it going into the break that there are teams, quarterback desperate teams, Pittsburgh, the Giants, Cleveland. What's Tennessee going to do? All of these teams, certainly, the Browns and the Titans and the Giants could look at quarterback early in the first round of the NFL draft, but are you really, really hoping that those are guys that are going to get you wins in 2025? There is a guy out there who has won in the NFL. He doesn't appear to be out there, but you could certainly, I think, acquire his services if he were willing to, erase his no-trade clause for a chance to start again in the NFL, and that's Kirk Cousins in Atlanta.
So coming off the Achilles last year, and that is the disclaimer, right? You could say, well, maybe he needed more time. He just was not right. For weeks, we were thinking, boy, when are they going to actually go over to Michael Penix? And it was also kind of strange. Like, wait, you drafted Michael Penix after you gave Kirk Cousins all this money? Boy, now that looks kind of smart there. Not a smart decision to sign Kirk Cousins to all that money, but there's some sort of roster-ish issue, correct here, Danger? Sunday coming up.
So, yeah, let me try and explain everything that's going on here and why the Falcons are actually in better shape than I think a lot of people think they are with Kirk Cousins as their backup quarterback. So, a lot of people believe that the fifth day of the 2025 league year is some sort of deadline for them to move off of Kirk Cousins. It's not. He's not owed an extra $10 million on the fifth day of the league year. Instead, that's the moment a $10 million roster bonus that's due in March of 2026 shifts from guaranteed for injury to fully guaranteed. Now, they owe him $27.5 million fully guaranteed for this season. When you hear that number, you think, that's a lot of money for a backup quarterback. Consider that they paid him last season $62.5 million. The Falcons, though, have Michael Penix, as we mentioned, on a rookie deal. Penix is only due to make $1.835 million this year. So when you look at Cousins, $27.5 and Penix, $1.835 million, the Falcons can easily afford a total cash commitment on their first two quarterbacks in 2025 of just under $30 million, $29.335 million for their top two quarterbacks on the depth chart. They can also handle the total cap charge of $45.2 million. When you consider what other teams are doing and what quarterbacks, how quarterbacks can affect the salary cap, the Falcons are actually in pretty good shape there. It's just a little unorthodox. Usually, and this is why the Falcons are still not 100% clear. I'm not 100% clear on why they did what they did, because usually when you have your quarterback on that rookie deal, that's when you can build around your quarterback with some pieces, but instead you got it on a guy that's sitting on the bench as Penix's backup. I digress. If the Falcons cut Cousins after this season, then they'll be entitled to an offset for whatever he makes elsewhere next year. If he takes the minimum and sticks the Falcons with the balance, it's capped at $10 million for 2026. End of story. So the $10 million isn't really an issue that everybody seems to think it is here coming up on the fifth day of the 2025 league year. The money isn't due this year, and they might get every penny of that $10 million back next year if they release him. So what are the options? They could trade Cousins, and he'd have to waive his no trade clause, which he has, or they could keep him to back up Penix this season, knowing that he'll make more with another team next season if they cut him after this season and they're in the clear. If I'm the Falcons, what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and get him to waive his no trade clause because you want to start and you believe you're a starter, and let's get something back for Kirk Cousins. I don't know what that is. Is it a third-round pick? Is it a fourth-round pick? But at least you're getting something, because right now, all that money tied up into the backup quarterback, if there's a way to take that money and build a roster around Penix, I would do that instead.
Kirk Cousins is nothing more than a bridge quarterback these days, correct? So which teams would need bridge quarterbacks? I thought the Colts would have been an interesting concept, except they got their guy in Daniel Jones. Kirk Cousins, wherever he goes, you would think he's actually in a real competition, knowing that last year was just so bad. The way you laid that out, Danger, my conclusion is that the Falcons, they don't have to do anything at all.
Correct.
We want a third-round pick. We're not willing. Too bad. You're the desperate team. We're not desperate.
That's
We're
right.
Talking about our backup here. You want to wait around for Aaron Rodgers? Do you want Jameis Winston or Russell Wilson? What is the final prize? Who is like the final in the musical chairs here, this carousel, whatever the cliche you want to use?
Right. And so this is why I think the Falcons won't trade Kirk Cousins, because I think teams will view the Falcons and be like, we're really doing them a solid, really. I mean, we're getting bent over if we're going for a second or third round pick for Kirk Cousins when we all know he's probably worth at best a third, probably a fourth or a fifth, and we don't want to give that up. Let them, stick them with the bill for their backup quarterback, and let us point and laugh at you as a franchise for saying we're going to pay the backup quarterback what we're paying him this season. It makes no sense. And really, you're right. All the Falcons need to do is just kind of sit back and listen to offers as they come in if Cousins agrees to waive his no-trade clause. And if that happens, I would imagine, yeah, he's going to be released at the end of the season, and he'll be a free agent again in 2026. But the Falcons won't be on the hook for the $10 million because you would assume Cousins will make more than $10 million in 2026 when he signs with a new team.
Yeah, it's tough out there. Do you want Jameis Winston? Do you want Carson Wentz?
No, nobody's gonna want those guys. And so for the quarterback desperate team, that option still exists. What is Kirk Cousins worth to you at this point? And it's probably nowhere near what the Falcons believe he is worth to a quarterback desperate team. But there is really no deadline for the Falcons here. They can do whatever they want. They don't have to do anything. I mean, it's unorthodox to think that you've got just under $30 million tied into your top 2 quarterback spots, and the majority of that is going to your backup and not the second-year quarterback. But that's where they're at. I don't necessarily agree with how they've constructed this roster when you have a quarterback on his rookie deal, but that's where they're at. And Kirk Cousins was good for them for what? 7-8 games. I think that's his ceiling at this point. You'll get him for 7-8 games. I mean, consider that he made, what did I say, $62.5 million last year. $62.5 million. He did not play the whole season. We got him some wins early in the season. They took care of Tampa Bay twice. But yeah, Kirk Cousins has always kind of been that, right? He's the guy that's just good enough, but not great. I mean, the Vikings were in the NFC Championship game, bring in Kirk Cousins, and the best you can do is a playoff appearance and a home loss to Danny Dimes and the Giants. Captain checkdown over there. Come on. I mean, he's always been able to put up stats. There's probably game left there. It's just probably 7 wins max, I would say, for a team that wanted to invest in Kirk Cousins this year or next. And probably more so this year than next year, because I think another year removed, the guy never was mobile, and he's coming back from that Achilles. Last year, you could see it's just he kind of hit a wall and it fell apart. So that's the Falcons saga. Just another kind of wrinkle, another angle in this carousel of remaining quarterbacks, familiar names, big brand names: Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson. Let's not discount Kirk Cousins.
Well, I go back to Aaron Rodgers. What is fat? Are all these teams willing to wait until the draft? Are we talking about this when we come back on Monday?
Aaron Rodgers will make his announcement the night of the draft. The first night of the draft. Here's where I'm going. Here's what I'm doing. I really didn't want to hold anybody up, but this is what I'm thinking. This is where I'm going to go. Yeah. If history serves, you're right. Yeah, we'll be talking about this for 3 months, and we're going to get tired of it.
Endear yourself to whatever fan base you're going to go to. It's a little different. Like, oh, well, didn't this happen before? Not exactly, because, well, he was still property of the Packers, and there was a negotiation between 2 teams for a trade. That was a trade. This is free agency.
He's never been a free agent.
No. When Adam Schefter, when he's laying it out like, okay, do you want to play or not? Do you want to go to the Giants? Yes or no? When I decide where I want for lunch, I make a decision.
Yeah, it's Schefter just went ahead and made it personal.
To me, this shouldn't be that hard, right? Like, the Steelers want you. The Giants want you. We're seeing players across the league make decisions. It shouldn't be that hard. Either you want to play or you don't. You want to play for Pittsburgh or you don't. You want to play in New York or you don't. Like, Chewy, what are you going to have for lunch? You're going to make a decision, you're going to drag it out for 4 days, 5 days, a week. Like, it's not that hard. Make the decision and live with it.
Yeah, except, and the report is that the Steelers have made him an offer, that he's mulling over the offer.
That doesn't mean it has to be out there forever and ever. We've all heard those stories. The offer's off the table. We went in a different direction. Like, you should put an expiration date on there. We're not going to wait around here forever. Do you want to be part of this or no?
Yeah. And I have a feeling Rodgers is doing what he's doing just to drive up the price from the Giants. Like, get the Giants to spend more. I don't really want to leave New York. Have you seen my mansion, my view? My God.
Is that part of it too? Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go play with the Giants 1 year, $10 million. It's that like I can't fashion myself playing for that.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's exactly what I think is going on. Like, you've got two teams that probably each offered you a 1 year deal, and you have no self-awareness. So they're saying 10 million, and you're saying I'm at least worth 25. What did he? I don't even remember what he made last year with the Jets.
I don't know. I just know his dead cap figure was 44, and the Jets decided, you know what? We'll take that. Go away.
Yeah.
Well, I've won back-to-back MVPs.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is nothing more than a negotiation to try and get pit one team or two teams, because the Vikings are in there as well. You know, I mean, if you're talking about 1 year, 10 million, and you can start in Minnesota, Minnesota's got weapons. Minnesota's got a line. They've got an offensive-minded head coach.
That's the one where I refuse to actually believe that's true. Probably the Vikings took the meeting. They took the call. Okay, yeah, maybe. We'll think about it. You think about it. If we get a report that the Vikings actually made a substantial offer, any offer, then I'll stand corrected on that.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a break. I believe we've got Josh Palmer speaking to Bills media now. We'll come back with more in the sport back as well. So we'll try to get a recap from these guys here through the course of the afternoon. You can join us anytime, 866-4326, 585-866-4FAN.
The Fan, Rochester.
So Joey Bosa, speaking earlier today, part of the recruiting process, getting Joey Bosa. This is what you want to hear. It's number 17. Allen texting Bosa, hey, if we do what we set out to do, we could be immortalized in this town.
Yeah. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Joey, you want a statue of yourself somewhere? Win a Super Bowl, make a play in that Super Bowl for the Buffalo Bills. I mean, Nick Foles has a statue outside of the Link in Philadelphia. Nick Foles, make a play in the Super Bowl for the Buffalo Bills. You're a legend. You're immortalized. You will be immortalized forever. 17 is doing his job, right? Like he's calling the guys. He's welcoming them to the team. He's the leader. He's making it known, and I have zero issue with any of this. In fact, I think in the past, depending on who the player was, do the Packers need to run personnel ideas by Aaron Rodgers? And I remember always thinking to myself, like, no, they don't. They're the Packers. They can do whatever they want. Aaron Rodgers should just, And I think part of why I believed that then is because of Rodgers' character, because of his personality, because he's a me-first guy.
Mm-hmm.
I have zero issue with Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott asking Josh Allen, who do you like? What do you think? Running things by that, because they're clearly doing that.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with it.
That's what good managers should do. Just ask for input. Not from all your employees, but he's the guy. He actually has more power. I don't know if he realizes this, but Josh Allen is the most powerful figure. You could say Terry Pagula, but gosh, Josh Allen is more powerful than the head coach. He's more powerful than the GM. If he wanted to make something be known and make a big deal out of it, hey, I don't want to go to Rochester anymore for camp. Okay, done. He's that powerful.
Yes.
So that's why you want to run by whatever it is you're thinking. What do you think? You involve him in the decision-making process, and then, hey, if you end up making a decision that maybe he wouldn't like, then you're letting him know in advance. I go back to last year when Diggs got traded. We were all like, whoa! And then when Allen finally spoke about it, it wasn't a secret. Like, he knew, and maybe the whole team knew, but to me that was kind of interesting.
Well, I think I have a vision of Diggs his last year in Buffalo, just kind of rolling his eyes at everything that the head coach says or does, and probably projecting that out amongst those that he's closest with. So at that point, when you've got somebody in your organization who's clearly not bought in, you have to do that. You have to move on. And
Diggs is ending up in Kansas City, is he not? Still sitting out there.
Yeah, he is still just kind of like waiting. Josh Palmer didn't know this. We did know he's from Canada, born in Canada, right?
He feels like he's playing for the Canadian team. I'm like, what?
But
okay, yeah.
But he played his high school football at St. Thomas Aquinas in Fort Lauderdale. So, and he played with Nick Bosa at the same high school. Joey's 4 years older, but Palmer played with Nick, his younger brother, in Fort Lauderdale. So Palmer, Bosa, not only teammates last year with the Chargers, but just familiar. The families are familiar with each other because of their time playing in Florida at the same high school at St. Thomas Aquinas.
Yeah, there's got to be like a little bit of a gap there, though, because Palmer's 26,
Yes.
Bosa's 29.
Joey's 4 years older.
Yeah, okay.
And Palmer played with Nick at the same high school. So they were on the same team, Nick and Josh. So there are some connections there. And again, like, I have no issues with those connections. That's great that everybody's kind of familiar with each other. I like what Joey Bosa is saying about being having Josh call him. And that would be my message as well. Like, hey, if you haven't noticed, this city is desperate for a champion. And if we do it, they will never, ever, ever, you'll never have to worry about anything in the city of Buffalo, ever, if you're a Buffalo Bill that wins a Super Bowl.
Funny how, like, the national storyline doesn't match up with what we hear kind of, just following this team and observing and talking to people. The Talking Head show today with Stephen A. and Mina Kimes, and it caught my attention. Does Josh Allen have the most pressure of anyone in the NFL?
Wow.
Okay. Well, I guess from the standpoint of you don't want to go down as John Elway or anything, but if he does, can we safely say, Danger, none of that is coming from here in Western New York? We watch the games. We see how he elevated his play. It's not his fault. I don't know what more the guy could have done in some of these postseasons.
Oh, man. You said it at the beginning of last year. It's not Josh Allen. He played at an MVP level. He was the MVP, and it still wasn't enough. So what's the pressure? The pressure is he has to collect another MVP award for them to win a Super Bowl? I don't know that Josh Allen has the pressure on him. I think if you're going to put pressure on anybody, it should be the head coach.
We would think it would be McDermott. Again, if we end up to the same conclusion, that's why I'm like, okay, we've already entered silly season here on the Talking Head Show because that topic, okay, that just you're not talking to anybody from Western New York. If you think there's pressure on Josh Allen, maybe you and doesn't meet your expectations. How could he be so great and not make a Super Bowl yet? I don't know. You're in a conference with Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes. Let's start there.
Yeah. Well, nice to see that he's engaged, even though it's the off season. With the new incoming free agents, reaching out to Josh Palmer, reaching out to Joey Bosa, reaching out to his guys, and making sure that they're all aware of the opportunities that lie ahead and welcoming them to Western New York. I think it's going to be fun.
Danger, I know how you feel about sports writers and authors, and I kind of roll my eyes at someone too. John Feinstein passed today. He is an author, very popular author, age 68, cause unknown.
68's young.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like that. What would he have written that I would have known?
Season on the Brink, which you probably wouldn't have read, but that was his breakthrough book following Bobby Knight. And like, oh my gosh, this guy, while he is a good coach, he's really an a-hole, and he's really like, you didn't write like that back then in the 80s. And he's written a ton of books. In fact, he just came out with a book last fall on the Ivy League. Now, his representation has to be willing to come on our show. I'm just like, Buffalo Bills, Ivy League. I'm not sure if it's a fit here, but I always kind of for years he went on Rome, so like that's how I know. Yeah, if you listen to the Rome show, he would.
Well, that's too young, and I hate hearing that. And now I feel kind of bad that we didn't have him on to talk about the Ivy League for an afternoon in the sports bar. Cause unknown. Did they ever figure out what the deal was with Hackman and his wife? I'm kind of heading to Sam blissfully ignorant on what the latest is on that.
I heard something, but I don't want to just be
just because you mentioned Bobby Knight, Indiana basketball. I'm tying it back to the movie I've never watched.
How could you have never watched Hoosiers?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
We should have like movies we've never watched. Yes, I'm going to watch the movie where the guy goes through the tunnel and then he's in the rain. Yeah, whatever. He's a prisoner, falsely accused. Yep,
you just came up with an idea for the fan. I mean, like, I bet you if we did, like, movies outside or movies in the park, like movies we've never watched event, I think we could get some people to come out and watch these movies with us.
I should call over to the Eastman. They always do the hoity-toity stuff over there. Like, yes, this was from the era of the 1950s here. How about like, hey, here's one of Danger's favorites. I've never watched it. Let's
Can you imagine Eastman opening up the doors to us and our regulars? Everybody just kind of walks in in their cargo shorts and flip-flops.
No, like, let's make this happen. Somebody's got to know somebody over at the Eastman house. Hey, tonight we're going to watch Hoosiers.
Yeah, we could do a series.
Yeah, then we could have a little Q&A afterward and discuss it.
We're just coming up with great ideas. You didn't like my bracket bonfire idea. I know that Thursday might be a little bit too early to burn your bracket.
Dude, I'm trying to save you from the lawyers, okay?
Well, the lawyers are going to say no to everything. They exist only to say no. That's all they want to do is say no to your ideas.
Somehow I don't think like burning things. Okay, try that.
No, I
think
we should do it. I think we should absolutely do it. We won't tell them. We'll just do it.
By the way, Thursday we will be at the Taproom Bill Gray's Chilai Avenue.
I'm going to bring a big giant barrel. I'm going to fill it full of wood and gasoline. I'm going to set it on fire. And then when your bracket gets busted after the early session and you've already lost like 2 of 4 games, go ahead and throw your bracket in there.
I want to say the firehouse from Chilite is right across the street.
We're
right there
safe. Safe as kittens. Nothing bad could happen. We're safe. If anything, I got your more successful, better-looking brother on speed dial. He can come and bail us out if we need any help. We'll be good. We should do it. Just ideas after ideas. That and the movies we've never watched series it's good. How do we miss not watching these movies over the course of the last 30, 35, 40 years? I don't know. We just never got around to watching Shawshank or Hoosiers. I'm sure there's a bunch that we can quiz each other on. Have you seen this one? Yes? No? Okay. Eastman, though, would be fun. Just because I love the idea of our regulars just kind of pouring themselves into the seats at the snooty Eastman Theater.
Then Eastman takeover.
Yeah, we take over the Eastman house.
Hey,
and
don't you want a new crowd? Don't you want to reach a new demographic here?
bring in the sports bar. Have you met our infamous doctor?
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Dr. Nick.
Welcome to Eastman, Dr. Nick. Have a seat. Most famous. Who's on our guest list? We got Dr. Nick. We got Chris from Kentucky. We got Pete the pollster. Yeah.
Hey, it's Yacht Rock John.
Yacht Rock John.
Hey, well, while we have a minute here, the movie's coming up. Here's Yacht Rock John singing the favorites there from Steely Dan here in the sports bar.
Nothing but ideas this afternoon in the sports bar. All right. We're going to take a break. See if we can get either Fates or Brasky on. I mean, they're both in Orchard Park. They're both busy. They've both been sitting through the press conferences of all the free agents that have come in. And we know that Josh Palmer was speaking recently here. Joey Bosa before him and everybody else. So we'll try to get them on here as soon as we can or at some point here this afternoon, get the latest out of Orchard Park from either Dan Fates and or Alex Brasky here in the 4 o'clock hour. Happy hour coming up at 5 as well. And time for your calls always at 866-4326, 585-866-4FAN.
Streaming online and in the Odyssey app at The Fan Rochester. The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester, an Odyssey sports station. The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
The newest Buffalo Bills showing up today. Well, a few of them. Joey Bosa, Josh Palmer, Derek Forrest. The returnee, though, is Damar Hamlin.
It feels amazing to be back, This is home. This is all I know as a pro. And, I'm connected to this place on a totally different level. So, this is the place I want to be. This is, where I would want to spend my whole career if I can. So it feels good to be back.
Hamlin getting a one-year deal. The Steelers sign a quarterback. No, it's not Aaron Rodgers. They bring back Mason Rudolph. Cooper Flagg injured in today's Duke win over Georgia Tech, that final 78-70. Flagg seen in a wheelchair. He's got a sprained ankle. Amherst hosting Providence tomorrow night. Rochester has now dropped 5 in a row. Gene Battaglia, sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
Steelers have a quarterback. But it's Mason Rudolph to back up somebody. Maybe that's Aaron Rodgers.
Where is he right now?
I'm somewhere on a beach.
The Steelers and Giants had to be waiting to hear from him. Russell Wilson is visiting the Browns today, the Giants tomorrow.
Dog pound, let's bark.
Let's ride.
Perfect.
He's a dog.
Mike Danger.
You can't dismiss it because it's the NFL. Anything can happen. Why we love it. That'll be a lot of fun. Oh, so good.
The trade that sends cornerback Kyer Elam to the Cowboys.
Gene Battaglia.
In my opinion, that's the number one need right now on this team. Corner help. Like, who's corner 3 on this team? Okay, you're drafting at least 2 guys here. You got to bring in another 2 just at least for camp bodies.
95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Yeah, I think we have something. I mean,
I you think so? I'm not so sure. Like, if I called over to the George Eastman Museum, the Dryden Theater, I'm looking at their schedule right now. For the month of March, there is one sports film, Danger. That's coming up on Friday the 28th. The viewing, shot in 35 millimeter film, 128 minutes. The lead actor Sam Wood in this 1942 film, The Pride of the Yankees.
1942. Hey, come and see the film at the Dryden Theater. We'll have a Charleston contest for a loving cup, a genuine loving cup, the first prize. I don't know. They probably ain't letting us in there.
No, it would be like the country club, and you're letting they call them trunk slammers, like guys like you and I. Like, hey, we're gonna let the trunk slammers come in on a Wednesday afternoon at 3:00 just so we can make a little money here.
Do we have other movies that we haven't watched that we've somehow missed over the last quarter century plus? I mean, Shawshank is your big one. You give me a hard time about Hoosiers. Are there other films that you think of?
Probably, I would think.
Gladiator.
No interest.
You've never watched Gladiator?
Yeah, no.
Oh my God. There's another one for Gino.
Honestly, like, Francesa's right. No, he's not right in the. I would never say who cares when somebody passes. But Marvel, yeah, no.
Gladiator isn't a Marvel film. What are you talking about? Gladiator isn't Marvel. You thought Gladiator was Marvel?
Is it like? Is that?
Oh, Gino, you think Gladiator is like some superhero movie? It's It's not any. It has nothing to do with Marvel. It's not a Marvel property.
Sounds like Marvel-ish to me.
Oh, Gino. Oh, Gladiators. I mean, Gladiator might be my favorite film of all time. It's top 3 for sure. You got to have I bet you have a movie in your top 3 that I haven't seen.
Midnight Run.
Never seen it.
Come on. No, you would love Midnight Run. That's a guys movie.
Midnight Run stars who?
It stars De Niro. Dennis Farina is the mafioso.
Hey, of course Dennis Farina says, because he's Italian.
And Charles Grodin.
Oh, I've seen pieces. That's another one.
Yeah.
You know why I've never watched that movie? Never a fan of Charles Grodin.
No, I'm not a Grodin fan.
He
either.
played like the same smarmy guy. He's like the typical smarmy 80s guy in all the movies he was in. I just never really got into his as a kid watching those movies. I'm like, I don't like that guy.
First movie I saw him in, like his first movie, Rosemary's Baby. Have you ever seen that? Ooh.
No.
Oh.
No, I don't think that's one we want to show with
No.
the
That's like,
regulars.
but anyways, that's just Grodin.
Midnight Run is in your top 3?
Absolutely.
Wow.
It's fun. It doesn't have to be
I get it.
enlightenment.
I'm not judging your top 3, but I bet you, like, as soon as I went to Gladiator, I'm like, I bet you Gino's never watched Gladiator. Gladiator is easily in my top 3. And if we're just, like, distilling it down to sports movies, I think we've both watched most of the sports movies. Now, I've admitted I can't watch Field of Dreams start to finish. I've only watched bits and pieces of it.
You got the gist of it.
I get what's going on.
Yeah.
I just view that movie and I'm like, that movie's just not for me.
Well, it's tarnished for me because, well, it's Kevin Costner. I'm sure, like, I liked it a lot when it came out, but Kevin Costner, how many baseball movies could the guy do?
You watch Slapshot, right?
Of course.
What about my personal favorite hockey movie? How about Youngblood?
I've seen that, but it's been a long time.
Okay. Let me think. There are more sports movies. We both watched Major League. We quote Major League incessantly.
Major League. Yeah, what's the better film franchise? Major League? No, it's not even a film franchise. What am I saying? Like, it's 1, and then 2 is bad, 3 is abhorrent.
Yeah, I'm not watching any other Major League movies.
No, and then you and I have always had the Rocky debate too. Rocky 1 wins Oscars.
Yeah.
Rocky 4.
It's just a constant montage.
Yeah.
It's a training montage set to 80s pop rock.
Quintessential 80s movie.
Give me Rocky 3 over Rocky 4 all day. All day. Just because Clubber leg. Say, woman. Say, woman. You need to get with a real man. What do you say, woman?
I am going to call over tomorrow to the Dryden Theater. And if anybody has an in, please let us know. You can, send me a note. I'm at gene.battaglia@odyssey.com. You can find me on social. Or you can call us 866-4FAN, 866-4326. Like, if we had, like, a movie night, could we, like, reprogram one of these movies at the Dryden? I'm guessing no. That's their turf. They probably would be like, well, you can come watch Pride of the Yankees with us.
Right. We have to kind of work with somebody on this because I know our lawyers, and our lawyers will be like, no. That's all they ever say. No. They exist just to say the word no to me directly. Always.
But they're showing it. It's not us.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh.
Yeah, let's keep it off of our lawyer's desk because if it crosses their desk, the answer will always be no. So we don't want that. We want this to be a thing. Any given Sunday?
Love it.
Okay, good. I've never watched Longest Yard for what that's worth.
Only bits and pieces of that too.
Okay. This is going to be hard for me to do. I'm going to be vulnerable for a second. I'm a Bears guy. There is a movie that is very Bears-centric that I've only watched bits and pieces of, but not start to finish.
Oh, Brian Piccolo.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, isn't that why, like, every boy born in the 70s is named Brian from that, right?
I only watched bits and pieces. I never watched it start to finish because by the time when did that come out? In the early 70s?
I think so.
Yeah. Brian's song wasn't one that
You're even admitting you're being vulnerable up front. I'm like, nope, I'm going to take advantage.
Yeah,
I'm
of course
Danger.
you are.
I love the Bears.
I
That's
do.
Such a beautiful movie.
And
if I had a boy, if Leo was going to be a boy,
maybe I'm committing
Brian.
Maybe I'm committing a sin as a fan by saying that I didn't watch. That's required.
If Leah was a boy, what would her name been? It would have been Brian. Did I hit on that?
I named my dog Walter.
Okay, there you go.
You know what? If we ever do get another dog, you know what I'm going to name him? I've already got the game plan worked out. Buddy.
That's perfect because then nobody would ever figure that out.
That's right.
Yeah.
Named him after who?
Yeah.
The best defensive coordinator in franchise history.
Many would say he should have stayed and got rid of Ditka.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly right. All right, so in Orchard Park today, the free agents are at the podium, and we've heard from all of them. We heard from Derek Forrest. We heard from DeMar Hamlin. Josh Palmer just spoke. Joey Bosa earlier today as well. I feel like I'm forgetting somebody because there's been a lot. And what we want to do is try and get Alex Brasky from Bill's Digest, Dan Fates, Buffalo Plus. I mean, they're covering the press conferences, and they're happening while we're on the air. So if we can get angle and get them on with us, give us a little recap of everything that's going on, talk some Buffalo Bills with them through the course of this afternoon, we will absolutely do that. But we will also lean on your calls if you want to join us at 866-4326, 585-866-4FAN. As far as moves around the NFL today, when I saw Mason Rudolph returning to Pittsburgh, I kind of chuckled. I mean, I facetiously was saying it yesterday that the Steelers are arrogant enough that they would probably bring back Mason Rudolph and say, yeah, we can win games with him. Now, I think Mason Rudolph kind of eliminates – he's there as a backup, right? But I also feel like Mason Rudolph might make it a little bit tougher for Russell Wilson. I mean, like Mason Rudolph, Russell Wilson, to me, same production on both guys. I mean, like, I don't know that one's better than the other.
Well, Russell Wilson, I think he's probably a little bent, right? Like, okay, well, I'm going to go to Cleveland. I'm going to go to the Giants. I think Russell Wilson will actually have more opportunity than, say, Mason Rudolph going back to Pittsburgh.
Right, and the idea that Wilson is taking those visits with Cleveland, with the Giants, almost signaling that a return to Pittsburgh isn't likely, and with the Steelers not waiting around, getting Mason Rudolph on a 2-year deal after he spent a year in Tennessee. I know that there are some Steeler fans right now that are so disgusted with where the team is and how they've put themselves in this position that they actually want Mason Rudolph to be the week 1 starter for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, I wouldn't wish that, but some people just want to watch the world burn and will hate watch their team at the start of the season. I can't see that happening.
This is funny. Now, I can't imagine Chris Brown, who I consider a friend. I know Brownie, gosh, since we were breaking into this, right? About the same age. Play-by-play guy. Love him and the work he does there on One Bills Live. And, well, there's 31 other play-by-play announcers, and I think this guy's pretty good. Paul Allen for the Vikings. Did you see this? Paul Allen for the Vikings was asked about this, the possibility of Aaron Rodgers coming to Minnesota. Said that Aaron Rodgers is a polarizing identity, and it would be a hassle having Aaron Rodgers in Minnesota.
Yeah, he's not wrong. Paul Allen's kind of grumpy though. He's pretty animated in the booth, man. When things don't go the Vikings' way, he can be a bear up there. He's good, but he's not wrong.
If you sign Aaron Rodgers, he has become the polarizing identity of your covenant. Wow, it's funny because I'm just saying, like, if Brownie or Tasker were ever
how does he know that and nobody in the front office know that?
Right.
Like, he's speaking the truth. Everybody knows he is speaking the truth. Yet, are you intoxicated by the musk of a 2-time MVP winner? Like, what are we doing?
Well, and then he's bringing in Allen going on, talking about how if you bring in Rodgers, that would suggest that there's something wrong with J.J. McCarthy. Right, of course.
That's exactly why. I thought if you kept Darnold, it didn't matter what McCarthy's health was. You keep Darnold because he won you 14 games last year, got you to the postseason. And I don't know that J.J. McCarthy, after redshirting for a year, is going to be able to do this, equal that feat in 2025. But I think Rodgers would give them a better chance to win in 2025 than J.J. McCarthy. I'll just throw that out there. But Allen's not wrong. I mean, Rodgers could come in, be completely polarizing, divide a locker room, kill a culture, and land Kevin O'Connell unemployed. I mean, can you imagine going from coach of the year one year to unemployed that's Matt Nagy in Chicago. Well, it wasn't the next year, but it was pretty close. Yeah. Things change quickly in the NFL. Yeah, there's still a chance for the Brett Favre career arc for Aaron Rodgers. But no, in the meantime, we need Aaron on a beach, contemplating my future. Make sure you get the lighting right. Make sure that You get that to Rossini so she can see that I'm deep in thought.
It's one of those, like, why is this out? So it's a picture of him, and clearly he's in a bathing suit, the baseball cap on backwards. Looks like it's sunset. And, quite honestly, wherever you are, even on a beach, at sunset, it's a little cold. He's got a blanket wrapped up.
Yeah.
He's staring off into the waves.
Gazing into the future. Trying to figure out what it all means. Guy's a trip.
Why would you? Okay, maybe this was paparazzi. Maybe this wasn't Rogers' people putting this out.
Oh, okay. All right. So the paparazzi are all over Rogers. He can't escape. He can't even go to the beach and quietly reflect on what his future might look like. A couple of free agent signings from the last 24 hours. Mac Jones is heading to San Francisco. That's a 2-year deal.
So this is Shanahan trying to get a redo on the 2022 draft. Is it not?
Right.
Yeah.
You're right, because he didn't go with Jones. He went with Trey Lance. But he's familiar with Jones. Like Jones. Jones is back. Does this put any sort of heat at all? I mean, there's another guy that's just oozing with arrogance, right? Shanahan. Well, if Mr. Irrelevant doesn't want to sign his extension with us, we've always got this guy here for 2 years that I can win games with Mac Jones.
I want to make games with Brock Purdy.
That's right.
I can win with Mac Jones.
I got Mr. Irrelevant to the Super Bowl. You kidding me? It doesn't matter who the quarterback is. Do you know who I am? I'm Kyle Shanahan. Yeah. I see these and I know, like, okay, big deal. A lot of backup quarterback talk, but I don't think it's a nothing. Like, I think there is something to Mac Jones being there and them knowing who, being familiar with each other, and Brock Purdy kind of waiting this out and not signing his extension. C.J. Mosley was released by the Jets, only bringing that up because when he was on the field against the Bills the last few years, he was a problem. Don't know that he's the player he once was, but he is now out there. And I know a lot of Bills fans wanted to make the connection because the Bills' new secondary coach, Jonathan Jones, here is, free agent out of New England, is heading to the Commanders on a 1-year, $5.5 million deal. Rasul Douglas is still on the open market.
That's the question we have, right? Who's corner 2 on this team, and what's the plan long term? Because, well, you locked up all these other core guys, Terrell Bernard, Greg Rousseau, Khalil Shakir, great moves. James Cook, we know there's a different storyline with that, but what about Christian Benford? And that has been quiet.
Yeah.
Has that been quiet because
there's no guarantee that Benford is going to sign an extension next year either. Like, Benford might want to hit free agency and cash out of Buffalo, in which case, holy hell, you're now, who do you have? You need young corners. So not just 1, but 2 in the draft, I think is logical.
Well, you have Benford because you took 2 in the draft. The other guy's sitting in Dallas now. You can't believe that.
Yeah.
That was our whole show. Like, wait a second, Dallas really did that? Well, he's a former first-round pick, and we really like him. And, with Diggs not being available, we have some.
I talked to a Cowboy fan friend of mine, and he was asking about Elam. And I'm like, look, maybe maybe he is something when you get him in the right defense. It just didn't work here. He couldn't get on the field. He couldn't play McDermott's defense. But maybe in Dallas it's different. Dallas, for what it's worth, has done well with their corners and getting the most out of their corners that they possibly can. I mean, Al Harris was their coach last year. You had guys, creating turnovers and making plays. I think it was Bland. Bland is the guy I'm thinking of, right?
Yeah.
That was just an absolute beast as far as takeaways and scoring. And so maybe it's exactly what Kyrie Elam needs: a change of scenery, a different scheme, something that he can show off his skill set a little bit better than what he was able to do in Buffalo. But I basically told him, hey, don't hold your breath. Like, he couldn't even get on the field here most of the time.
No, like, as far as former Buffalo Bills that, okay, you moving on from, it's your choice. Oh, they come back to haunt you. Like, number 1 on the list is Marshawn Lynch, right? We couldn't have seen that. He wasn't beast mode. He did have that name, but you didn't really take on that persona until after that.
Well, you brought him in when you didn't really need to bring him in, and it was a crowded backfield. And Fred Jackson, I think, had a little bit more weight. I think, beast mode got himself into some trouble early in his career.
Wyatt Teller being probably the biggest one. Like, you just handed him over to Cleveland. Okay, that's kind of a Pro Bowl level guard. You could say,
Yeah, that one's still
Yeah.
puzzling, right? Like there has to be more to that than what we know. Something must have happened in a meeting room, or there had to have been something behind the scenes that
Or
led to
maybe
that.
just like not whoever the old line coach at the time. It wasn't
into him.
No.
That's interesting. All right, let's take a break and come back. And hopefully, we had two guys scheduled to join us today, but we know how busy it's been in Orchard Park with all of the free agent press conferences. Alex Brasky, Bills Digest, Dan Fates, Buffalo Plus, Happy Hour, just over a half an hour away as well, and plenty of time for your phone calls this afternoon at 585-866-4FAN, 866-4326.
Weather brought to you by Staples. Your local Staples store has hot deals and super low prices throughout the store on everything for your business. Save even more with the Easy Rewards program at Staples.
The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
It's a day for the newest Buffalo Bills to meet the media. Showing up today, One Bills Drive, Joey Bosa, Josh Palmer, and the safety formula, Washington, Derek Forrest.
I definitely love, just getting to the ball, doing whatever I can to get the ball. I love playing strong safety because the thing is, when I get in the post at free safety, they test me. And the thing is, I got range, and that's where I get my interceptions at, so I love it.
No signings today. We will talk to Alex Brasky, Bills Digest, and the Batavia Daily News. He comes up next year in the Sports Bar. Pittsburgh Steelers signing a quarterback today. They bring back Mason Rudolph. Big injury in college basketball. Cooper Flagg goes down with a sprained ankle. He was seen in a wheelchair. Duke beating Georgia Tech 78-70 in the ACC tournament. North Carolina trailing Wake Forest 51-50 there in the second. Gene Battaglia in the sports leader, the Fan Rochester.
The beer is cold and the wings are hot. You're in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Busy day at One Bills Drive. The free agents are in town, meeting with the media. Alex Brasky among the media. At Bills Digest, Batavia Daily News, joining us now. Alex, lots to take away from what we heard today. We've got all of these signings that have happened with the new league year underway. I think Joey Bosa might be the biggest name in free agency, obviously, that the Bills have signed. I mean, you could argue maybe Hamlin coming back, but let's start with Bosa because I think 1 year, $12.5 million, not a lot of risk, a lot of reward and high upside if he can stay healthy, and that's the big if with Bosa. How did he react to the questions being peppered at him today, Alex?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Fun full day here at One Bills Drive. We'll be back here tomorrow for Larry Ogunjobi, Michael Hoyt, and perhaps Brandon Beane meeting with the media here on Friday. So more to come. Make sure you stay tuned at Alex Brasky on X. But Joey Bosa, a very, very good interview. I felt time meeting the media. He was very thoughtful, I thought, explaining his decision to pick the Bills, and it really all centered around winning and the winning culture established here in Buffalo. Obviously, he had a chance to go out and play with his brother in San Francisco, and I think many believe that that's the route he would take, including the 49ers with their release of Leonard Floyd. But instead, he chose Buffalo, and it all centers around a chance to win a Super Bowl. He started off his press conference saying that he knows he's getting old, and the time to win is now, and the place to do it is in Buffalo. And really the most notable quote I felt that came from him was him recalling a text conversation that he had with Josh Allen, and he didn't mention whether it was before or after he signed with the team. Boy, it would mean a lot more if he texted Bosa before, but Allen texted Bosa that he thinks that they have a chance to do something special and says that everyone involved would be immortalized in Buffalo if they were to win the Super Bowl that this city's long been hoping for, and that really rings true. If the Bills are able to achieve the ultimate goal and come away with the ultimate prize, this team would be remembered forever as the first Buffalo sports team to bring a championship to the city. And that's what it's all about for Bosa at this stage of his career. Coming in here, a chance to win a Super Bowl, joining a team that's set up to do so.
Alex, just your opinion, how does he fit? I'll put it another way. I can't imagine with his track record that he's going to be available if they go to the Super Bowl for 21 games. So, what is the realistic expectation here? He's just a rotational guy at this point, or could he be more?
Really, in Buffalo, all the edge rushers are rotational guys. I know some play more than others. Greg Rousseau at the top of the chart there. But really on the defensive line, that's been a well-known fact here in Buffalo, not breaking any news to you guys, that they like to rotate their defensive linemen, maybe a bit more so on the interior. But, yeah, I don't think you're going to see him out there as a three-down player, game in, game out, series in and series out. You're going to have to manage his snaps. You're going to have to manage his workload also during the practice week in hopes of having him ready when the games mean most in the winter months. So, yeah, that's obviously going to be a factor that plays into how the Bills use him and whether or not they put him on the field as a three-down player or whether or not they use him as a pass-rushing specialist. He is capable against the run, much more so than his predecessor, Von Miller. He was really only a pass-rushing specialist at this stage of his career, but Bosa is capable of defending against the run and maybe more than capable. He's really a strong run defender, but knowing how fragile he's been in the past and his lengthy injury history, there's no doubt they'll have to manage his snaps and manage his workload in practice. But when he's on the field, and he mentioned it, he still plays at a high level. I know it was 2021, but each year during his career that he's played or started, 11 games or more, he's totaled 10.5 sacks or more. So I think the Bills are able to keep him around for over half the schedule and manage his reps. And, boy, if they get him for a full season, I think this guy could really be productive. Still only 29 years old. So although he's had a lengthy history, injury history, he's not an ancient player by any means.
Yeah, Alex, it feels like the Bills are opting for a little bit younger, in free agency and looking for those younger guys, trying to get the most that they can out of these guys. And one of them is still very young as well. It's Bosa's former teammate with the Chargers, new wide receiver for the Bills, Josh Palmer, who also spoke today to you guys there in the Bills media. What did we learn about Josh Allen's new target?
He's a real chill guy. He came across as and Bosa as well, but obviously a Canadian-born player is Palmer, only about an hour and a half drive away from Buffalo. So he's really excited about the fact that it won't take him a long flight to visit his family anymore, nor will it take his family a long flight to come watch him play. Said he didn't really know much about Buffalo or the Bills. Said he was more of a basketball fan growing up. He always thought growing up that he was going to go to the NBA. So it's not like he's well versed with the fan base or what the Bills are all about. So he'll have to learn about that during his time in Buffalo. But certainly a native of a nearby town and somebody who could come in here and potentially give the Bills a skill set that they've been lacking the past few years, a great route runner, somebody with great hands. And he said what he takes most pride in terms of his skill set is his ability to run the entire route tree, play inside and outside, and win in different situations. And we know how much versatility means to this team, but if he's able to run that route tree and create separation, as many of the analytics have showed you that he's capable of, that would be a boon for this Bills team that struggled to get open at times for Josh Allen last year.
We're talking to our good friend Alex Brasky, Batavia Daily News, the Right Here, Right Now podcast. Also, Bills Digest, a lot on Alex's resume and your plate there. Derek Forrest talking today, and if we could start here, like, where does he fit in? Honestly, because I think it's Taylor Rapp and Bishop, or do you think that Forrest has a good chance to compete for a starting job, Alex?
You look at this time last year, maybe a little after this time last year, when the Bills signed Mike Edwards and everybody thought he was the surefire option to start, and then obviously some injury struggle maybe set him back on his course to be the Bills starter. But I think he plays a similar role as what Mike Edwards did for the Bills, at least during the offseason and the preseason. Somebody competing for a job, a player that has ability, but can it fit here in Buffalo with what they do defensively? You bring back DeMar Hamlin, you already know what he's capable of, and you have Cole Bishop coming back for his second year, and obviously you're hoping the second-round draft pick takes the Bulls, second or third-round draft pick for Bishop. It's all second. It's all a blur for me with this year coming up, but you obviously hope he takes the bull by the horns and wins that starting job, but I think competition is a good thing in this sense, knowing that Bishop has not put his stamp on that position quite yet. And Hamlin, what you saw from him last year, I'm not sure it's a sure thing, knowing that DeMar Hamlin can give you 17 games of starting caliber safety play. So I think adding another name to the mix was a key for the Bills to do this offseason. And Forrest has a great athletic profile, a high RAS score. It's somebody who he believes is a high-flying guy that can create turnovers. He called himself a problem solver during his time at the media today, or at the podium today, he still believes he's the same athlete that he was when he had his best season in 2022. He said he had a setback these past few years. I think that setback really came due to a lack of opportunity. So if he is to be provided an increased opportunity here in Buffalo, who knows what he's capable of. But I think it was key getting him in here and adding another body to that room in terms of the competition, just in case Bishop isn't able to rise to the occasion. And you really want to be looking for, I think, something a little bit better than what DeMar Hamlin offered last year.
Alex, let's stay in the secondary because we now have a pretty glaring need when you look at the Bills' depth chart at cornerback. And Rasul Douglas is still out there. There are some other names out there that if the Bills wanted to invest in corner, they could certainly go out there and get, or guys that they could certainly go out there and bring back. What's your take on what they're doing here in free agency, or what they haven't done yet in free agency as far as adding some depth at corner?
I think Rasul Douglas is coming back. He hasn't signed a deal yet. You mentioned he's still out there. Bills have been rumored to be linked to Asante Samuel Jr. I'm not sure how reliable that report was, but I think Rasul Douglas is going to come back. I think he's the best option at this point for the Bills. Obviously, I think they'll look to that position also in the draft. You have Dane Jackson and Levi Wallace also on the open market. Perhaps one of them reunites with the Bills. But I think reading the tea leaves and just seeing how things are playing out and Rasul Douglas remaining open for signing, I think he's coming back to Buffalo, and I think we'll see Christian Benford and Rasul Douglas as the team starting cornerbacks once again in 2025. Now, if Douglas does not come back, and I'm wrong, and he does sign a free agent contract with somebody else, obviously you have to look at that position on day one, day two of the draft. I think you have to be pretty aggressive in bringing in a prospect like you did last year with Bishop, because you don't have many answers at that position. Jamarcus Ingram is a solid player, but not capable of holding down a cornerback 2 role by any means, in my opinion. So I would rather them look defensive tackle, wide receiver in round 1, cornerback maybe on day 2, but I wouldn't be surprised if they go cornerback with their first-round pick if they're not able to re-sign Rasul Douglas.
Yeah, I think that, in just my opinion, Alex, some could say, hey, you need more on the line, and I wouldn't argue against that. But I'd also say that even if you brought back Rasul Douglas, that's the number one need on this team in the draft. That would be the corner position. And part of that, when you talk to Brandon Beane, we think maybe tomorrow he's going to address reporters at some point because, well, we've had a lot of news, right? You've had this class that will hit free agency next year that got taken care of. Terrell Bernard is here to stay, and Greg Rousseau is here to stay. Khalil Shakir is here to stay. We know James Cook in his position, and we'll see how that plays out. But Christian Benford, where is this storyline going, Alex? Because if we get to training camp, and I could see Benford betting on himself, knowing that there's some other contracts out there at the corner position that are going for big money.
Yeah, certainly I think the price for Christian Benford has risen a bit this offseason. But if you look at who the Bills have re-signed thus far, if you think of it in terms of each player and what they mean at their position league-wide, I think Christian Benford is the most elite player at his position of any of the Bills players coming up for new contracts at the end of next season. You look at Terrell Bernard, you look at Greg Rousseau, you look at Khalil Shakir. They've given the Bills some quality play, but I don't think they've risen to the level that Christian Benford did this past season. He put up some all-pro level numbers that rivaled that of Broncos cornerback, name failing me, Cortland Sutton, I believe. Patrick Surtain, excuse me. I think Sutton's the wide receiver. But Benford, I think, is the most elite player at his position in terms of those Bills players that had their contracts running out next year. I think Cook second in line in that regard. So I think you needed to get Bernard, Shakir, and Rousseau done first in order to kind of gauge where you were at in order to take that big swing at Christian Benford, and to look at it conversely from Christian Benford's point of view. When you're that high level of a player at your position, you understand the value you bring to the team, and you understand the way that the league values you, especially being a position such as cornerback. And I think, like you said, Gene, he's certainly playing the waiting game a little bit and trying to get the most bang for his buck, knowing just how much the cornerback market has risen this offseason.
I think the biggest surprise so far this league year from the Buffalo Bills came yesterday when we learned that Kyer Elam was being traded to the Dallas Cowboys. At least that got us the biggest reaction. I was like, whoa, really? How did that all time? Did that time out with the announcement of the compensatory picks that the Bills are going to get? Did they decide that gave them enough flexibility to pull the trigger on this deal with Dallas?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but I think that the return that they got for Kyer Elam, I think it shocked a lot of people. A player that never fit in here. He was always a good soldier, and you saw his parting words on X. Very respectable and very classy from Kyer Elam. I was surprised how much the Bills got back for him, just knowing that he was pretty much on his way out the door here. But, hey, then again, it's the Cowboys. Probably one of the worst run franchises in the league, so it doesn't shock me in that regard. But I was surprised at the return, perhaps the compensatory picks and what the Bills got back maybe gave them a little bit more freedom to move a player at a position where they don't have a lot of bodies. So, perhaps that played a role. But I think it was good to move Elam and get what you got back for him, and also good for Elam, the player, to get a fresh look, a new scene, and hopefully go on a better trajectory moving forward in his career.
Yeah, Alex, I think it's worth noting, too, that if a team makes the championship round here, as the Bills did last year, if they're, basically one score away from the Super Bowl, usually a team like that, their roster kind of gets picked apart. That's just kind of the nature of the league. And so far, you've had a lot of guys coming back, and you're adding to this roster. Your thoughts on the one guy that did leave for greener pastures, that being Mac Hollins. Mac Hollins getting a one-year deal with one-year deal with Buffalo, 2 years with New England. Who's we at wide receiver 5 on this team? Is that wide receiver 5 on the roster right now in Tyrell Shavers, or are we going to wait here a little bit for the camp battle?
In my opinion, you could find 20 to 30 Tyrell Shavers on practice squads around the league. So while I don't necessarily think that he is a nothing player, I think he's a replacement level player. So I think the Bills would like to add some more speed at that position, maybe in their wide receiver 5, a skill set that they don't necessarily have right now, a burner that could take the top off the defense. That is certainly one of my top targets that the Bills should be looking for in the draft come April. I have defensive tackle, my top need, wide receiver, second, cornerback, number 3. I know a lot of people don't agree with that, but I think the Bills need a burner. They've been looking for it the past several seasons. Speed doesn't always translate to the NFL, but when you have so many players with similar skill sets, you have to go out there and find something else. But when you bring up Mac Hollins, I think him compared to the other free agents that the Bills had, I think Hollins, having already experienced championship-level success, I think that perhaps played a role in him leaving the Bills. He's not really in search of that crowning achievement at this stage of his career. I think some of these other players coming back and searching for that, and you heard Joey Bosa speak on that. That's a major sticking point with them on why they came to Buffalo chasing the championship. And when you're Mac Hollins coming off the season that you did, I don't think his value is going to get any higher. So I think a player like that, he's not getting any younger. You have to take advantage on the open market when you can, and that's what Mac Hollins did. But when you look at some of the other free agents, I think they still have a bit yet to prove in terms of their individual play and their team achievement as well, so I think that may have played a role.
Yeah, the flip side of that coin is a guy that did come back for another 2 years. That would be Ty Johnson, who, his signing, his return is not a nothing. That's big for the Bills' offense. That's big for the Bills in terms of how they can approach their future with or without James Cook.
I lost you there for a second, Danger. Could you rehash that for me?
Yeah,
Sorry,
I was just saying
I'm in my car.
Yeah, Ty Johnson is not a nothing. Ty Johnson signing for a couple of years allows the Bills to have some flexibility here moving forward, knowing what they have in him, whether they proceed with James Cook or don't.
Absolutely, and I think that was a key signing for the Bills to get him back. And getting him back on the number that they did, I think it's about $3 million. What was his contract? Either you know that off the top of their head? Top of your head?
No, I don't have it in front of me here, Alex.
They got him on a good number, I know. 2 years, $5 million. So $2.5 million per year for Ty Johnson, especially considering what he came off of last year, coming up big in big situations. I think that's a great deal for the Bills, especially considering what he means to them on third down. James Cook has produced at a high rate these past 2 years, but he hasn't been on the field at a high percentage, and Ty Johnson has filled in that third down role very, very seamlessly. Great pass blocker, and also has shown great ability in the passing game. So I think a very valuable signing, and yes, it does give you a little bit of freedom in case James Cook does hold out, in case you have to move him before the season, or in case you aren't able to re-sign him after this season. You have him, Ty Johnson, that is. You have Ray Davis, also in tow, and who knows? Perhaps they pull the trigger on a running back in the draft down the road. You also have Frank Gore Jr. on the practice squad. So the Bills are running it back with the same running back room, and I think that's a good thing because, boy, was that room productive for them last year.
Alex, last one for me. How are you holding up? Garrett Cole, Giancarlo Stanton, Luis Heel. Look, spring, this is the time you're supposed to be optimistic. And for a Yankee fan, I'm just so sorry, Alex.
Well, you don't know my Yankee fandom all that well, Gene. I am one of the most optimistic Yankee fans you will ever find. I am not one of these demons on Twitter who act like this is one of the worst-run franchises in the league, a team that didn't make the World Series last year. So the way that I look at this is it's the New York Yankees. They make the playoffs every single year. They've made the championship games several times the past few seasons. They made the World Series last year. So with all that hasn't gone, quote-unquote, right for the Yankees over the past few years, boy, they've had quite the level of success, haven't they, Gene? Something I think Mets fans would probably be a little bit jealous of.
We're not talking about the past. Look,
so
if you want to talk about the past, go ahead and talk about the past.
I think the past is very relevant in terms of you lose a player like Cole, the past speaks for itself. I have faith in this organization. I have faith in Brian Cashman, although I think he's more of a problem than Aaron Boone at this point. I have faith in Aaron Boone. Give me the Yankees in the World Series once again, come hell or high water. Max Fried leads them to the World Series championship.
Alex, busy week. We know you're pumping out content. What's up on the pod? What's up at Batavia Daily News we can check out and Bill's Digest?
Yeah, we've had a lot of great guests on the pod lately. When I was at the Combine, we spoke with Bruce Nolan, Greg Thompsett, Joe Marino, and Carl Jones. And then this week we've spoken with, or maybe it was last week, all these weeks are blending together. We've spoken with Nate Geary, Sal Capaccio, Joe Biscaglia, Eric Turner of Cover One. So really everybody that you need to hear from in the media sphere, you can hear from on Right Here, Right Now. So if you're not subscribed to that on Apple, Spotify, if you're not following it on the Batavia Daily News YouTube channel, really not sure what you're doing as a Bills fan, because the content that we're pumping out is ever valuable in this stage of the off season. I am no expert in off season talk, but all the guests that I've had on are. So they've really helped me. They've really helped our listeners. Make sure you subscribe, like, share it with your friends. Right here, right now, live Buffalo Football Talk, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and on X for each show. They really are coming sporadically, so just keep your eyes and ears peeled.
You know, Danger, I'm pulling up my text. Friday, February 28th, 9:59 in the morning. Want to hop on the pod next week? Me, you bet. And the next week came, and the week after that, and the week after that, the week after that.
You want to know what happened there, Gene? We had 5 teams, I think, in the sectional finals. I think we had 4 of them win, or maybe it was like, I don't know.
Alex, you don't have to explain your actions to this guy who's just trolling you to try to get a backdoor invite to the pod.
Shame you into the
come
pod,
on, man. You don't have to. We know you're busy. We know how hard you're working, man. You don't have to let Gino's grubby little hands wedge into the door there of the Right Here Right Now podcast while you're trying to record something.
Danger, you got any time tonight at 8?
See, that's how you get invited to the podcast, Gino. You see how it works?
Thank you, Alex.
Appreciate the time, Alex.
You're the best.
There's
Thanks,
Alex
boys.
Brasky. Batavia Daily News, Right Here, Right Now podcast. And, of course, Bill's Digest. Busy day. We'll recap all of it. We're going to take a break. Happy hour is next. We'll piece together what we heard from the free agents that spoke today. Tomorrow's going to be another big day. More free agents speaking at One Bills Drive.
Maybe Brandon Bean.
Maybe
tomorrow,
Brandon Bean as well. Your calls are welcome at 866-4FAN, 866-4326.
AM 950, The Fan, Rochester, an Odyssey sports station. The Fan, Rochester, sports update.
The newest Buffalo Bills showing up today. One Bills drive. Joey Bosa, Josh Palmer, Derek Forrest. Also back, a returnee, Damar Hamlin.
It feels amazing to be back. This is home. This is all I know as a pro. And I'm connected to this place on a totally different level. So, this is the place I want to be. This is, where I would want to spend my whole career if I can. So, it feels good to be back.
The Bills did not make a move today. The Steelers signing a quarterback, bringing back Mason Rudolph. ACC tournament, Duke beating Georgia Tech 78-70. The storyline here, though, Cooper Flagg leaving the game with a sprained ankle. The Amherst in a little bit of a tailspin here. They've lost 5 in a row. Providence coming to town tomorrow night on Irish night. Gene Battaglia on the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
Steelers have a quarterback. But it's Mason Rudolph to back up somebody. Maybe that's Aaron Rodgers.
Where is he right now?
I'm somewhere on a beach. The Steelers and Giants are to be waiting to hear from him. Russell Wilson is visiting the Browns today, the Giants tomorrow.
Dog pound. Let's bark.
Let's ride.
Perfect.
He's a dog.
Mike Danger.
You can't dismiss it because it's the NFL. Anything can happen. Why we love it. That'll be a lot of fun. Oh, so good.
The trade that sends cornerback Kyer Elam to the Cowboys.
Gene Battaglia.
In my opinion, that's the number one need right now on this team. Corner help. Like, who's corner 3 on this team? Okay, you're drafting at least 2 guys here. You got to bring in another 2 just at least for camp bodies.
95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
It's happy hour in the sports bar. Day today where we hear from the Bills free agents. They're in Orchard Park meeting with Bills media. Tomorrow, more of the same. In fact, we might actually also hear from Brandon Beane tomorrow, as well as there's still some moves that need to be made, I think, here by the Buffalo Bills, and I would expect we would hear some of them here over the course of the next couple days.
I think the biggest takeaway I had, usually these are all very positive, a lot of smiles. You just got paid. You're meeting these questions are kind of softball-y. You're not digging too deep. But the one tidbit that Joey Bosa shared in his recruitment by the Buffalo Bills actually came from the leader, and Josh Allen, saying, hey, if you win here, you'll be immortalized. Which is true. Nobody's going to dispute that. I just like Allen rolling up his sleeves, getting on the phone, just sending some messages. Right. Hey, come here and play in Buffalo.
Yeah,
help us out.
It's leadership. It's leadership. It's team-first mentality. It's everything you want in your quarterback. I remember we had debate years ago. We were talking about players who wanted input into personnel decisions. Specifically, we were talking about Aaron Rodgers while he was still in Green Bay, because that was one of the sticking points, right? He wanted to know who was being drafted, and he wanted to know who they're bringing in for free agency, and it really bothered him that he wasn't the guy that was being consulted before the team made the moves that they felt they needed to make. And I remember defending the team and saying, yeah, no, the Green Bay Packers can do what they want. They don't have to include Aaron Rodgers in their decisions. And I think part of why I had that stance is because we kind of knew the player Rodgers was at that point. Me first guy, a little bit of an egomaniac. In this instance with Josh Allen and him being the guy that's reaching out to the free agents that are coming in, and we've heard the reports that Josh Allen was consulted about Keon Coleman, like that's the guy he wanted. Like, they're including him in these decisions, and knowing his character and his makeup, I'm actually totally fine with the way the Bills are handling that.
Yeah, he is the most powerful person in Buffalo today. Most popular in upstate New York, without question. In Josh Allen, he's not the decision maker. He's not LeBron. I do think, say that tongue in cheek. No, I think LeBron, dating back to his days in Cleveland, he will orchestrate trades. He will dictate who the head coach is. That's not Josh Allen. Brandon Beane is still the GM. Sean McDermott is still the head coach, okay? But Josh Allen has that power to change things. He does. Like, he could go that route, but he doesn't need to. Brandon Beane is managing this perfectly. This is another reason why I think Beane is, like, one of the best in the game in any sport, that he knows, hey, we need Josh to sign off on this, ask for the input. There's probably things that Bean has run by Josh that Josh maybe hasn't given a strong opinion on, or maybe things Josh has asked for. I don't think that it's all been...
Or things that, Josh has had to live with. Like, I don't really like that, but if you think it's the right thing to do, then I'll back you. I'll do it.
Yeah, for instance, keeping Diggs on the roster in 2023. I think that when you saw that outburst there between McDermott and Diggs and what had really happened, well, I guess we'll never know, but it would have been nice to move on to that point, but you really couldn't do it because, well, you would have been underwater there with the cap. You had to wait a year. You had to wait it out. And when the tell to me was when that move happened, whoa, my gosh, they traded Diggs. I can't believe it. And then, weeks later they asked Allen about it, and he knew that was a possibility for sure.
866-4326 is our phone number, 585-8664-FAN. And by the way, keep that number handy because before 6 o'clock, we will give away a free pair of tickets to see Deftones with special guest Fantagram. They're coming September 1st to KeyBank Center in Buffalo. You can get those tickets when they go on sale Monday at 10 a.m. at livenation.com, or you can stand by to win those tickets for free from us before 6 here on The Fan Rochester.
Okay, what is the show again, Danger?
The Deftones show. Deftones, yeah.
Okay,
Deftones coming with Fantagram.
Nice. Okay,
yeah.
Very good. We have Bill in Rochester calling us.
Hey, Bill.
866-4FN. Hey, Bill.
Hey, a little fact. Joey Bosa's grandfather was Sam Giancana of the Chicago outfit.
Hey, of course he's in Buffalo. Because he is.
Oh, my gosh. Is that true?
It is.
Okay. Wow. Thank you very much,
Yeah.
Bill. We appreciate that.
Yeah. Bills are winning the Super Bowl. Forget about it.
Sam Giancana.
Yeah.
He was the boss in Chicago of the Chicago outfit from 57 to 86. And that's not a rock band there, folks.
No.
That's the real stuff.
Yeah. Uh-huh. I mean, I, for one, am appalled. I can't believe the Bills would welcome in that kind of... No, that's totally great. Thanks for the call. 866-4326 if you want to join us. We've talked a lot about the Bills free agents and what they've had to say, but we also unearthed more movies that we've somehow missed. We came up with, I think, a great idea, like a series of movies we missed. Famously, Gino has never watched Shawshank. I have never watched Hoosiers. I've seen clips, just never sat down front to back and watched it. And of course, we've got everybody piling on, wanting to know, have you seen Vision Quest? This is from Derek, the pizza dude.
Yes, I just can't remember the plot at the top of my head right now.
He also threw Foxcatcher at me. I don't know about Foxcatcher. I've never seen it.
Never even heard of it.
Yeah. Brad wants to know, is Dodgeball a sports movie?
No, that's a parody.
You've seen it, though?
Yes.
Okay. We're both on board with that one.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other sports movies that you and I maybe have missed.
Chris wrote in, I bet that they neither have seen Rudy.
How dare you?
Come on, they don't have to like Rudy. I saw it. I'm like, okay,
dare
yay.
You? How dare you?
Yay. He makes the tackle.
Hit the showers, Chris. How dare you? You've seen Rudy.
Air Bud, Pete writing in.
Oh, Pete thinks that I'm going to name my my next dog if I get another dog. I want to name him Buddy. And Pete thinks that, he thinks of Air Bud, which, by the way, if that's a sports movie, I've never seen that movie.
Our buddy Greg writing in, Gladiator, a Marvel movie, shame on you, Gene.
Yeah, that's my biggest surprise of the afternoon, that you thought Gladiator was somehow related to Marvel. That you thought Gladiator was like a Marvel movie, a superhero movie. Dude.
It sounds like it.
Dude.
That's what you're into.
Dude.
Like, whatever coming up holiday time, you'll be, hey, I'm going to go see whatever, Captain America 5.
Yeah, no. Not a Marvel movie, bro. Not a Marvel. Dude, let me tell you, Gladiator, easily in my top 3, maybe number 1. Maybe number 1. Shawshank is up there. Shawshank is a top 5er for sure. Neither of them, by the way, sports movies. That we get a little off track because they're just two big movies that I can't believe you haven't seen. But as far as sports movies go, yeah, I think my biggest defense is probably Hoosiers.
I have no idea how we got on that today, though.
Oh, because Gene Hackman. We went from the writer.
Oh, that's it.
We went for the writer who passed away.
John Feinstein passed today at the age of
68. Too young.
And then you said, okay, what was the cause of death for Gene Hackman? And I said, well, I've heard some things. I don't know if it's actually. So I kind of wanted to not go there.
Yeah, and then we said we should do a series. Imagine all of us regulars from the sports bar getting together at like the Dryden Theater in Eastman, do a series of movies that we missed. Just
movies.
Show up and just pollute their airspace.
Excuse me, we don't allow your people here.
That was Gene.
The Dryden Theater.
Yeah. What movies do you want to watch? Oh, you want to watch?
You want to watch Slapshot? Oh,
yeah. No. What was the movie that you said that they're showing at the Dryden Theater? That's
Pride of the
sports-related?
Yankees.
Yeah.
Pride of the Yankees.
Come to the Dryden Theater. Watch Pride of the Yankees Charleston competition. You can win a genuine loving cup. I love the idea. I think we should do it. Movies we missed. And continue to challenge, because you gave me one in your top 3 that I'd never seen before. What was it? Midnight Run?
Midnight Run. You've never seen Midnight
with Robert
Run.
De Niro and
but then you were like Grodin. I'm like, yeah.
It's Grodin. Yeah, that's why it's not my. That's why I never watched it, because like same reason why I can't sit through Field of Dreams. Like certain actors and actresses, I just can't sit through their movies. I don't know what it is. Grodin was one of those guys where I remember being a kid just not liking him in movies. And in Field of Dreams, it was the brother, Busey? Busfield.
Yeah,
Timothy Busfield.
Yeah, the redhead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every movie that guy was in or every show that guy was in, I'm like, not for me. So I just with like extreme prejudice, won't watch the movie. I'll watch clips, and then as soon as he comes, I'm like, ugh, I'm gone. Not a likable guy, not a likable character. I don't know. I'm out. So we'll maybe we'll get a list. We'll get a list going, and we'll figure out. Maybe it's a series. That'd be fun. You're gonna call over to the Dryden tomorrow?
I will call over to Dryden. Like, hey, what do you think? Sir, we are booked. Thank you for your concern.
Yeah, we have zero interest in hosting you and your ilk at our fine establishment. All right, well, we gave it a shot. What else we got going on today? You guys saw Cooper Flagg got hurt.
Cooper Flagg, yeah, we'll get to that in shots coming up. Yeah, the Aaron Rodgers story, and this is pictures of him strolling on the beach. Now, did this come from actual paparazzi, or did it come from, I don't know, Aaron Rodgers planning this himself so we can all talk about Aaron Rodgers again? Woo!
So dramatic, too. Like, it's Aaron on the beach, wrapped in a blanket, longingly looking off into the distance, contemplating his future. By himself, by the way. Not with, the paparazzi. If it is the paparazzi, you would think they'd be looking, who's Aaron with? Nope, just Aaron by himself, out there contemplating what's next. Do I take the crappy deal that Pittsburgh is offering me? Or do I take a crappier deal to go to the Giants? What am I going to do?
But if I think about it another day, I get to see myself in the headlines again.
You'll be in the news cycle.
Ooh.
That's what turns him on. That's what gets him going.
Narcissist.
Yeah. There's so Russ, Cleveland today. Russell Wilson in Cleveland today. Giants tomorrow. I want to see him in Cleveland just for pure comedic value. I don't think if he goes to the Giants, any Giants fan will be excited about that.
Who's the bigger hothead? Sean Payton or Brian Daboll?
I think it's Payton, but it's not by much. Daboll doesn't have much patience. Not a lot of patience.
No, I don't think that would work out well. If I'm like, hey, Russ, if the money's equal, I know your wife wants to live in the big city, Cleveland's for you. In fact, we endorse that here in the sports bar. Go to Cleveland.
Now, we haven't spent a ton of time talking about another option that may be available to one of these desperate QB-needy teams, and that's because, well, largely he's a backup right now. And he's a backup who started a lot of games last year, and it's Kirk Cousins. I know a lot of people were wondering, like, okay, there's supposedly this deadline for the Falcons to make a move on Cousins, and there really isn't. Like, the Falcons find themselves, after doing what they did last year at the draft, which we all kind of scratched our head and be like, what are they doing? Why would they do that? I would be critical of how they've constructed their roster and where they're allocating their assets, given that they have a quarterback, a starting caliber quarterback on a rookie deal. But this is how they're going about it, and they really have no risk in keeping Kirk Cousins on their roster, even as a backup to Michael Penix. At worst, a team could try to trade for Cousins, and Cousins could waive his no-trade clause for a chance to start with one of these teams. But what's been put out there and what isn't actually true is that Cousins isn't owned an extra $10 million when you get to the fifth league year day here of this season. Instead, that's the moment that a $10 million roster bonus, which is due in March of 2026, shifts from guaranteed for injury to fully guaranteed. That's the actual deadline here. They owe him $27.5 in 2025, which is fully guaranteed. Now, that's where I get critical. I'm like, you're going to pay your backup quarterback $27.5 million, but again, you have Michael Penix on a rookie deal who's only due to make $1.835 million this upcoming year. So when you look at the first two spots of their quarterback depth chart, you can understand a cash commitment of just under $30 million for 2025 when you compare it to what a starting quarterback gets in the NFL, a franchise quarterback. That's not bad. You can handle that. You can handle the cap charge of $45.2 million to have Cousins and Penix on your depth chart at quarterback.
You're glazing me over with all these numbers. Basically, what you're saying here is, hey, the Falcons don't have to do this right now. If you are so desperate, if you're the team that's kind of left standing without a quarterback, hey, do you want Jameis Winston? No, you really don't as your starting quarterback. Kirk Cousins is your bridge. We want a third-round pick. Oh, you're not willing to pay the third-round pick? Then we don't have to do this on Sunday. Do they have that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no deadline, really. I mean, the $10 million that everybody's talking about isn't the problem that a lot of people think that it is, because it isn't due this year. And if he were to take the minimum next year and stick the Falcons with the balance, he would still be capped at $10 million. The Falcons are going to get that money back next year, assuming that Cousins is playing next year for more than $10 million, which is a pretty safe assumption. You know, if they release him after this upcoming season.
Well, you would be making a big old assumption with Kirk Cousins that, hey, it really was the Achilles. That's what it was all about. Because in October, November, tell me a quarterback that looked worse in this league than Kirk Cousins.
He was lost.
He was terrible. And to the point where, all right, your season's going down the drain. He's not even a kid. He's older. But put Michael Penix in, please. And they finally did. And it proved to be, the right move, just too late on that. Kirk Cousins is like a major risk. He's like is he better option than Aaron Rodgers? I guess you're waiting for Aaron Rodgers.
I think Aaron Rodgers is still a better option. I think Kirk Cousins can get you 7-8 wins tops with a good supporting cast around him. Now, if you put Rodgers in Minnesota, let's say, I think the Vikings can win 10 games, 11 games with Aaron Rodgers. I don't know that I can say the same thing for J.J. McCarthy. We just haven't seen it. I don't know. If you put Rodgers in Pittsburgh, they're probably making the playoffs again. Mm-hmm. If you put him with the Giants, I'm intrigued by that. And I think if you're the Giants, if you're Shane and Daboll, that's what you want Rodgers, because you need to win now. And Rodgers, again, we've said this over and over again. He knows this. This is why he's taking his time and walking the beach and mulling over his future, because he's got two teams, desperate teams, that need his services. Or he's probably viewing this free agency period, something he's never been through in his career. This is what I'm worth? Really? This is it? After my long career and all of the millions that I've made, I'm worth 1 year, $10.5 million or whatever might be offered?
Aaron, you've mismanaged everything. I guess you have to stay true to who you are. I understand that, but it sounds like a lie, but I believe this to be true. there was a point, Danger, where he was the most loved quarterback in this league. And I'm not going back that far. Like 2017, 2018, he was the guy in the commercials, could do the light comedy, hit everything, and now it's...
He was going to host Jeopardy.
Yeah.
Then he opened he opened his mouth. I don't know. We always thought he was a weirdo, right? I mean, like, even before he started opening his mouth, estranged from your family, weird relationships and breakups, and just different stories about him being just the guy that has to be the smartest guy in the room all the time. You maybe have somebody like that in your life. Not really a fun person to be around. And that's Aaron Rodgers. So, we wait.
You've been working with me all these years, so.
Are you suggesting that you're the smartest person in the room? In this instance, you are. Yes. But I would also say, not really a joy to be around you all the time, pal.
Well, there you go. So you can relate.
Yeah, I can relate. I can relate to all of Aaron Rodgers' ex-girlfriends. I know what it's like. Believe me. We will get to a round of shots next in the sports bar.
Yeah, so we will get to that Cooper Flagg injury. Like, how serious is this? Syracuse basketball, the season is over. We do the obit. We talk about what's coming up next year. And, we haven't gotten to this here. The owner of the Tampa Bay Rays putting out a statement today. Oops. Okay. We'll get to those stories and more.
You're listening to the Sports Bar. Sports Jackpot. Catch Maggie and Perloff on 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan Rochester when you wake up through the Odyssey app and make your mornings as thrilling as a game-winning touchdown. The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
It was an afternoon to get to know some of the new Buffalo Bills. Showing up today and talking to reporters Joey Bosa, Josh Palmer, and safety Derek Forrest. Forrest talking about his style.
I definitely love, just getting to the ball, doing whatever I can to get the ball. I love playing strong safety because the thing is, when I get in the post at free safety, they test me. And the thing is, I got range, and that's where I get my interceptions at, so I love it.
So far, no moves for the Buffalo Bills today. Pittsburgh Steelers did make a move, signing a quarterback, bringing back Mason Rudolph. Rochester Americans, they're now winless in their last 5, falling by 1 at home last night. The Charlotte Providence coming to town tomorrow night. Sports is brought to you by GetMyPerks.com. Get ready for golf season. It's almost here. Save half off today at Eaglevale. Gene Battaglin, sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester.
Rochester's home for live sports and the best sports talk anywhere. The Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
All right, can't forget, we're giving away Deftones tickets before 6 o'clock. Just keep this number handy, 866-4FAN, 866-4326. First, we get to a round of shots in the sports bar.
So the question that I'm going to ask everyone that somebody knows the answer, let me know. Where does Syracuse basketball go from here? This was one of the worst seasons ever for the Orange. They lost by 20 in the second round of the ACC tournament to Southern Methodist, 14-19 overall. That's their final record. The last time Syracuse finished 5 games below 500, you have to go back before you and I were born, 1968-69.
Nice.
Which, it is a credit to Jim Boeheim and what he built, I suppose. But, Danger, do you give Adrian Autry year 3?
This is what I think is great about college athletics right now. You could have a down year this year. You could be back next year. It's all about who you bring in, what you have in your collective, and who you can pay to come hoop for Syracuse. So I don't know, because I don't know who they're bringing in. I don't know who they're going to get.
Yeah.
Nobody knows anything. But, yeah, you finished 5 games below 500 this year. Next year you can finish 5 games above 500, depending on who you can pay to come and play for you. Let's see how it works.
There's one injury that everyone's going to know more about when they're filling out their bracket. That belongs to Duke's Cooper Flagg. He suffered a left ankle injury. He was seen in a wheelchair in the tunnel outside the trainer's room at halftime. He was back on the bench, done for the day, apparently walking on his own power. Duke beating Georgia Tech in the second round.
I already am fatigued of hearing Cooper Flagg. I have Flagg fatigue. He hasn't been drafted yet. I'm tired of him already, and I don't want to be tired of Cooper Flagg. But now this is going to absolutely take over the headlines leading into the tournament. What's his status? How's he? I'm tired of Duke's Cooper Flagg already. He could win it all. They could win it all, and I'm gonna be like, I'm done. I'm over Cooper Flagg.
This is going to be that unifying team. When you take the best player down, everybody else picks it up a little bit. Well, you watch. Gino's pick there. We'll see if PJ Glasser agrees with me. We'll talk a lot of bracketology next week, Danger.
Okay.
We lost a great sports writer today. John Feinstein passing. Cause of death not known right now. Feinstein wrote more than 40 books. The breakthrough coming in 1985, A Season on the Brink, where he followed Indiana Hoosiers head coach Bobby Knight around. Imagine that. Feinstein was 68.
And you mentioned earlier that this book was interesting because nobody really knew the jerk that Bobby Knight was, and unearthed some of the things that Knight did that people left people shocked.
Right. You imagine observing practice and then the language at the time, which today, kind of a Francesa, but at the time it was groundbreaking. The way Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen is playing up in Buffalo, probably he should start next season with the Amherst. That can't happen without him clearing waivers. UPL signing a 5-year deal with the Sabres last summer.
God. Oh my God. I forgot about that.
He allowed 7 goals last night, Danger. A 749 save percentage, his lowest in a game this season, in which he did not get pulled. Patrick Kane, 2 goals, 3 assists for the Buffalo native in the Detroit win. And, Jack Eichel comes to town this coming Saturday.
You trading UPL in the offseason.
For what?
I think somebody would take him because he's young. I think somebody would take him because he's still got a couple years left. It's probably a decent deal. Like, we've seen enough. Yeah, we're ready.
They carried the 3 goaltenders. You know what they screwed up with the UPL? Not sending him back to Rochester, the one playoff season they could have. Well, he's an NHLer. He's earned it. He should have been here last year. I'm sorry. And if they're going to pull that same stuff with Kulik this year, you watch. You watch, Danger. Even though he's eligible, well, he's been up with us. We can't send him back.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm out. I'm out on UPL. I'm done. Bye-bye. They can move on from him. I'll be fine.
If you've been following this story, today's news out of Tampa Bay should not come as a surprise. Rays owner Stuart Steinberg putting out a statement that the team will not proceed with a planned new stadium in St. Petersburg. Hurricane Milton, of course, you could blame that. It forced a lot of issues in that region, including the tearing of the roof of the current stadium right off the top of Tropicana Field. The lease at the Trop expires after the 2027 season. Now it's open to speculation where the team is going to play. As for those beautiful artist renderings, those will always live in our memory.
Was I having a fever dream earlier today, or did I see that Eddie DeBartolo Jr. is in line to buy the Rays?
That is absolutely true. So there is a local group that would be interested in moving the team to Orlando, which not ideal, but might be kind of the best for all parties involved. And, you know, if you're going to put a team in Vegas, why not put it at the family-friendly, version of Vegas, being Orlando? I don't know. I mean, I'd be open to that too, but the times, like, how many years are we going to go through this here?
I'm trying to remember. DeBartolo was a criminal, right? Didn't he go away, or was he forced to sell?
He went away. Yes, he was forced to sell the 49ers. It's actually his sister, Denise York, and her husband that kind of took over. So he's totally out. So he sold it within the family, but like,
did he ever do time? I can't remember.
I will look that up.
I can't remember. I just remember, okay, he's a crook. They won a lot while he was their owner, but he was charged for something, or there was allegations of something. And when I saw his name come up in my feed today as potentially in line to buy the Rays, I had to do a triple take. I'm like, that guy's still out there? He's still doing this? I thought he was buying bars or something.
DeBartolo was involved in a 1998 corruption case. He pled guilty to a charge of a felony report, failing to report a felony, fined $1 million, fined by the NFL, barred from active control of the 49ers for the year. He gave control to his sister, Denise York. In 2020, President Trump granted DeBartolo a pardon.
Okay, so he never did time. He's clean. He's free and clear to do whatever he wants.
He's 78.
Holy hell.
See, for folks who don't know, like, Eddie DeBartolo was like the NFL. Who would be the NFL owner that's like Eddie DeBartolo? He was a guy like, yeah, we're going to buy this, we're going to be that. He was like a salesman.
I mean, I'm going to make it. He reminded me of Daniel Snyder.
Ooh.
I mean, they kind of, without all of the pervy, creepy stuff.
Yeah.
But just the way he was doing business and dealing and wheeling.
Very front-facing.
Yeah, very much so. Well, that's interesting. Too bad for the Rays. And, man, I guess Orlando, if that's where you want to go, okay, whatever. That team doesn't really have a fan base anyways, right? Because they're just an attraction for anybody that lives down there.
Well, you, being the future Floridian that you are, wouldn't you?
Snowbird. I'm not going to be a resident of Florida, Gene. I'm not moving to Florida. Am I going to snowbird? Yes. Yes, I will absolutely
You're
snowbird.
following in the footsteps of Brother Weeze and other guys.
I mean, I don't know how
there.
smart Brother Weeze is in real life, but I can't be angry at the move to go down there and spend the winter months.
Point being about Tampa, St. Pete, you watch at Legends Field, they're going to sell out. It's the fan base. It's up in Tampa. St. Pete, what would be the analogy up here? Be like driving to, I don't know, Batavia for a game and back? It's not easy to get to. You got to get home. Finally, former New York Jet Mark Gastineau has filed a lawsuit against ESPN. This over airing a clip from the 2023 Chicago Sports Memorabilia Show where he confronted Brett Favre about giving Michael Strahan the sack to break Gastineau's single-season record. Gastineau is seeking $25 million in damages, claims the clip was included without his consent or permission, and he's been attacked on social media with ridicule, scorn, and contempt.
Yeah, he's upset because he looks like a bitch in that video.
You hurt me.
He looks like a whiny bitch in that video. That's why he's suing for $25 million.
I don't like you, Brett Favre. I'm suing you. I'm suing ESPN. I've been attacked on social media, ridiculed, scorned, and contempt. Roger Goodell threw me down a flight of stairs, and I lost my shoes, and I fell on my ass pipe. I'm suing everybody, Gene.
Sue Aaron Rodgers, too?
I'm suing Aaron Rodgers. I'm suing Roger Goodell. I'm suing Bill Belichick. I'm suing NFL Films. I'm suing Bob Lee.
Bob Lee?
Yes. ESPN. And Chris Berman. I'm suing them both. Punitive damages, $25 million. I've been attacked. This isn't right. I look like a bitch.
I do believe.
I'm Mark Gastineau.
99% of people in the legal community just are sharp people. They know what they're doing. It's the 1%. Who is the lawyer saying, yes, let's go get $25 million for this because there was a camera videoing this? I'm sorry.
What will he actually get?
That's the whole thing. It's a shakedown right here. We're going to give you $25,000. Sign here, go away.
Right.
That's it.
Easy payday.
But I was really hurt by Brett Favre. He gave up the sack to Michael Strahan. I'm suing Hoda Kotb. I'm going to sue Nate Burleson, everybody in the morning, all of them. I'm suing everybody.
Nate Burleson?
Yes. Nate Burleson, Carson Daly, Matt Lauer. I'm suing Matt Lauer. Oh, Matt Lauer was very mean to me. He invited me into a secret room. We talked about Michael Strahan and about Brett Favre. I'm very mad at Brett Favre for laying down for Michael Strahan. I've been attacked. I've been ridiculed, scorned, contempt. I fell on my ass pipe. I broke my glasses. I'm Mark Gastineau, New York Jets, Sack Exchange. And I'm suing everybody.
Nancy.
Tickets.
Let's give away some free tickets. This is the Deftones. Yes. Go to the Rock Show. Deftones special guest Fantagram. They're coming September 1st, KeyBank Center in Buffalo. If you want to buy those tickets, they go on sale Monday at 10 a.m. You can win them for free before you can buy them at livenation.com right now on The Fan by calling 866-4326. Caller 585-866-4FAN. A free pair of tickets to see the Deftones at KeyBank Center just for listening to the Sports Bar.
You're listening to the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester. The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester, is everywhere. Bills, Sabres, Amerks, all on your favorite sports station. 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Debbie Supplies on Commercial Street in East Rochester, right off the 490. Heating, hardware, paint, plumbing, electrical, you name it, Debbie Supply has it. Plus a friendly, knowledgeable staff that can show you how to get that home improvement project done. Since 1957. Your next home improvement project, think outside the box and head on over to Debbie Supply, Commercial Street, East Rochester.
Inside and out, for folks who know what they're talking about. Gotta go to Debbie. Gotta go to Debbie Supply.
I'm here with Mike Underwood from On-Track Auto Sales. You know, Mike, this really is the best time of year to buy a used car.
It certainly is. Bring in your tax refund and put it down on a new car.
Yeah, and On-Track will have you driving off in a car the same day. On-Track Auto Sales. With a massive selection of late model vehicles, get to On-Track Auto Sales today. Buffalo Road and Gates, 436-4359. OnTrackAutoSales.com.
Get on track with On-Track Auto Sales.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group, and I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney, and the truth is I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney or if I look like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. At Wesley, we've helped over 40,000 families cancel their timeshare without me being an attorney. And I want to share with you how we do it. Just give my office a call, and you will not talk to an attorney. And I guarantee if we take you as a client, we'll get you out of your timeshare, or you'll pay.
Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Got a couple minutes to talk to you at the end of the show. It's last call in the sports bar with Danger and Battaglia at 866-4326.
Paul in Fairport wants to talk a little Bills football. What's up, buddy?
Hey, actually, I was just thinking it's 2025 and we live in Rochester, New York, right? Maybe it's time to retire that terrible Jewish voice that you're doing. It's not cool, man. Like, don't do it anymore.
Don't do the
that
jerky
boys crap, the family gore. Yeah, it's just, dude, it's super racist. Like, not cool, especially in Rochester. We got an awesome Jewish population here.
I agree with you 100%. Noted.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thanks, Paul. Okay, let's go to John in Rochester.
Hey guys, I got to tell you, I just heard it on the radio. I was on the road. I didn't know they traded Elam to Dallas. I'll tell you one thing: the guy's going to be maybe not a superstar, but he's going to do well down there. The other thing I wanted to talk about is Jerry McNamara. I think he's going to be the next head coach at Syracuse. He should have been to begin with. What are your thoughts on that one?
I think Mike Hopkins should have been the guy. I think that, like, if you go back in time when Boeheim got suspended, I think Hopkins had everything. I'd have to kind of dig into why it kind of went south in Washington. He had some – I would be in favor of bringing back Hopkins before giving GMAC. Now, GMAC's out in Siena. I don't know if going 1 year from Siena over to Syracuse, even if you're Jerry McNamara, if that's enough on your resume, is it?
Hey, guys. I got to tell you, that last caller, I think that was an unfair.
It's all right. Hey, John, that's fine. Appreciate that, John. John in Rochester joining us in the sports bar. Yeah, if Autry is gone, I kind of think McNamara is that guy, right? Like, that would get people excited, but
Pitino built New York because he figured out the NIL game. Like, if you dig into that, it's like that's how St. John's all of a sudden, poof, became really good.
that's kind of what I like about this. Like, you could be down about Syracuse this year. Be like, 5 games under 500. Where do we go? Where do we go? We go to work. We go to work. We get the best players we can possibly get, the best coach we can possibly get. And if you believe that's Autry, I'm not going to disagree with you. I just think you need to get better players. You need to go out there and spend. And it can happen fast, as St. John's is showing. And, I think that as disappointing as this season was, the good news is every season, new opportunity in NIL, no matter what the sport is, if you're willing to go out there and invest for it. So we will we'll be back tomorrow, 3 o'clock. Bart Winkler, Infinity Sports Network, is stopping by the sports bar. Now, Bart is based in Milwaukee, and if he's based in Milwaukee, you know he's a Packers guy. And if he's a Packers guy, you know he has thoughts on our favorite free agent quarterback that's still out there. Now, I'm not talking about Russell Wilson either. We're talking about Aaron Rodgers tomorrow with Bart Winkler from the Infinity Sports Network. And we didn't get Fates on today. Maybe we'll try and get Fates on. We'll get Fates on again next week. But we might hear tomorrow from Brandon Beane as well, as the Bills bringing in more of their free agents.
Yeah, I'm curious, like, corner 2 is still a mystery. Christian Benford, where did we leave off with James Cook? Are there any kind of details there? I mean, Brandon Beane, I would give him a solid B. We all expected this big monster move. Which team made that move? Everybody kind of stayed pat there. Myles Garrett stayed. Max Crosby stayed. Trey Anderson isn't going to go anywhere, folks. It's not going to go anywhere.
Corner. I'm just looking at corner.
Yeah.
Like, we had Alex Brasky on with us earlier, and he believes that it's going to be Douglas, that Douglas will return, that he's not signing with another team, and that might be a move that happens here over the course of the next couple of days. You want to kind of find out soon what that cornerback depth chart is going to look like. Rasul Douglas, many believe the second best free agent corner available on the market right now. Could he come back to Buffalo? That remains to be seen. But we'll look forward to not only hearing from the remaining free agents that have signed in Buffalo, but also potentially Brandon Beane tomorrow in the sports bar with Danger and Battaglia. If you missed that conversation with Alex Brasky at the Batavia Daily News, you can catch it now wherever you get your podcasts. Just search out the sports bar. That includes the free-to-download Odyssey app. Big thank you to the Dandalorian, our bounty hunter of the finest audio in the galaxy, for setting us up for another great afternoon of sports talk in the Flower City. And a thank you to everybody watching the Sports Bar on our YouTube channel at The Fan Rochester. We appreciate when you like, subscribe, share, and tell a friend. Tomorrow, 3 o'clock, we're back. Bart Winkler, Infinity Sports Network, joining us tomorrow afternoon in the Sports Bar. JR Sport Brief next on The Fan Rochester.